which will be fun to talk about. But we also have a different sort of conversation today, and it's about how much your viewership and following of sports has changed. It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
This is Kincade and Salciunas.
On April the 28th, I can't evaluate who these draft picks are. There's a reason why guys get drafted in the third round versus the first or second.
Yeah. The first two picks they got, I love it. But when I'm hearing about adding depth players and you keep trading back, so what you're adding is less talented depth players. By your own evaluation, that doesn't make a ton of sense to me.
Kincade and Salciunas. John Kincade, Andrew Salciunas.
97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
And a good Thursday morning, Philadelphia. I'm Andrew Salciunas alongside my man, John Kincade. Johnny, happy Thursday morning.
Welcome to the month of May.
Damn right, man. May 1st. That's right. How about it?
It is May.
No more. It's only April discussion.
Yeah, we don't have to do that anymore.
Phillies got the win yesterday, though. 7-2 over the Washington Nationals. We will get into the Phillies at some point later on the 6 o'clock hour because that was a nice win for the Phillies. A nice, relaxing win, which is something we haven't really been able to enjoy in quite some time. So good win for the Phillies. But today we're going to have sort of a different type of conversation with you all. Obviously me, John, and Brendan, but all of you, it's 610-632-0975 on social media, our YouTube feed. Because we're at the point today, until the next big news drops, where we get to sort of expand our conversations, John, into other parts of the world of sports.
Expand them.
So, yeah, instead of just, how'd you feel about this move? How'd you feel about this play?
We're not going to do the box score.
No.
We're not breaking down box scores on this show.
No. Today, we're going to have a conversation about how we follow sports. How we watch sports on a daily, maybe weekly, monthly, or maybe for some of you, maybe just a quarter of the year or less, depending if you care about regular season play anymore, which is something we'll also discuss. But over the years, John, I've watched more and more sports because of what we do for a living, right? Whereas back in the day when I would watch the Phillies almost every single night, it felt like, if you missed a game, you missed a game. Nowadays, if I miss a game, like last night, I still have a life. I play pickup basketball on Wednesday nights. I still get home and rewatch the game. I fast forward a lot through it when I can tell what happens in the game.
You do not use the key plays catch up?
No,
You'll just start from the beginning?
Oh, yeah, okay. I'll cycle through.
You're better than me then.
Well, I'm a loser. So we still try to find a way to watch what we are going to talk about the very next day. We have to be educated on it. We have to be able to talk about things that happen in a baseball game or a basketball game or a hockey game or a football game. Football, you can't even try to fake it in this industry. So our following of sports may have changed because of what we do for a living. But there's also been so much change in sports that even if you're not a radio host or a reporter or somebody on TV, you're just another fan. It's changed for everybody over the years, Johnny. And we talked about this yesterday. Fandom itself has changed. There are people that are watching sports now for the first time in maybe 10 years.
And they watch for different reasons.
Absolutely.
And that's the big thing is that I think the consumer of sports has changed completely because now we've got we got people who used to just be diehards. My dad used to put on the Phillies on a radio.
Yeah.
And sit on the back porch at 26 South Malin and sit in the summertime.
Yeah.
He might have an Ortlieb's beer.
Nice.
And just like sort of watch the lightning bugs and
and just
as it got to dusk
game.
and listen to the Phillies game. He'd listen outside. The game would be on TV. He'd listen on the radio. Sit outside. I personally am. The radio is always the option when I don't have something to do.
Right.
So there's just different ways to consume. Some people more visual, some people more listening.
Yeah.
So.
But like you said, back in the day, it was more so the diehard. Whereas now, there's people who follow their favorite player, right? There's the social media aspect of sports. There is the gambling aspect of sports, which has changed the way we watch sports dramatically.
Big time.
Right? Your team might be winning by 100 points in a basketball game, but you're checking to see, is this guy going to hit his over, right? There are times now where people are not thrilled that their team won because they may have bet against them. I'll tell you a story that I've told on this station before. I was doing the show, and we had a caller call in. I may have been doing Middays with Ray. I'm not 100% sure. But this is the point that I'm just getting at. A guy did like an 8-leg parlay a couple of years ago. And he had the team that the Eagles were facing beating the Eagles. And he was one bet away from that 8-leg parlay hitting. The Eagles won. And I remember the Saturday before was when I did the show. So maybe it was with Jamie Lynch. The guy said, I'm going to take let's just say Commanders. I'm like, dude, why? Bet the Eagles. Or don't bet it at all. Because why would you put that in a parlay? Oh, well, if the Eagles win, I'll be happy. And if the Eagles lose, then maybe I'll make some money.
Really?
The guy ended up missing the bet by one game. It was the Eagles winning. He called in the following week admitting that he was upset that the Eagles won because he would have won a couple grand on this 8-leg parlay.
Why is he a dope? Why is he? Why would you pick on a leg on a parlay that's just? What, are you just trying to up the odds to think you're going to win something, or did he actually think Washington was going to win?
He thought, I'm just using Washington's example, but yeah, he actually thought that the team was going to beat the Eagles. But the Eagles ended up upsetting this team. And instead of being thrilled that the Eagles upset this team, he was upset because he lost out on a couple of thousands of dollars.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And that is how much gambling has changed the way we view sports.
I think that's a big part of it. I mean, the fact that we've got a casino in our hands.
Yeah.
Has really changed a lot. I know many people who were involved in the back table industry of gambling here in Philadelphia for my entire life.
Right.
And that's all gone away. And that used to be a social aspect also for people of gambling.
Right.
Nowadays, it's a personal experience right on your phone whenever you want to.
But at the same time, that was again, I'm not around your time, but I imagine that was a select few group of people. Now everybody has one of these.
Oh, no. Everyone's got one of these.
Right?
And the thing there were a lot of guys who did not. There were look, anybody your age, like if you were my age at you're getting out of college, if you wanted to have a bookie, one of your buddies told you who the local bookie was, and you got to know who the local bookie was.
Right. A lot of those in Delco.
There were.
Yeah.
You could have gone and seen Yummy at Spaders.
That's the thing. You'd have to go and see, or you'd have to make a phone call.
You could have gone to
whereas now it's just over, under, money line.
You could have gone and seen my Uncle Yummy at Roach and O'Brien's and placed wagers right there on Route 30. You could have done that. God rest his soul. You could have done that. So anybody who wanted a bookie had one. But that was also a social aspect that people would go to place their bets, and then, you're in a local bar, so you'd stop and have a couple beers.
Right, exactly.
I would be able to tell, my daughter can tell the stories, that I would be able to tell there were some local joints that we would go to when she was a little girl, when I would come home and we would visit, and I would say, we're going to go in here, and Daddy's going to see 3 guys he went to school with. Barnaby's.
Yeah.
We go to Barnaby's in Havertown. And my daughter would say to me when she was little, no, you're not, Daddy. No. We'd see 3 people. She'd go, Daddy, how did you know that? I'm like, this is just the way it is here.
Yeah.
It's a different world. But you know what the guy might do? He might stay and have a couple beers and watch the first couple innings of a game.
Right, because he may have the over-under in the first 5 innings.
Yes, he may have done that. It might be a gambling aspect. It might be a social aspect. Like, I think people before the proliferation of phones and everything would go out to and watch more.
Maybe, yeah.
Now people can watch from their back porch.
Well, and
I have a TV that we just bring the TV out, the wireless, and just set it up outside and watch it.
If I didn't have the ability to watch a game on my phone during Cooper's bath time, I'm missing 2-3 innings of a baseball game, right? Between bath time and reading the books and putting him to bed. Nowadays, I have it on my lap. While he's in his bath, I just watch the phone. I don't miss anything.
Now you're playing with him too while he's in the tub, right? Or
no, he likes to play by himself in the tub.
Really?
Oh, yeah, he's got airplanes, cars,
he's got his airplanes, he's got his...
Yeah, there's more toys than water.
You're just supervising.
Hell yeah, man. I'm lifeguard. I got the whistle and everything. So I need you guys to use your brains a little bit here.
Oh, well, nobody told me that was part of it.
Use your memories a little bit here. How much has your viewership and your following of sports changed? If you want to go 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 5 years ago. We had the conversation yesterday about how there were people that didn't know the Phillies were a good baseball team for 10 years because they had a 10-year playoff drought. And then all of a sudden, 2022 happened, and there was an explosion of Phillies fans that came out of nowhere here in the city, which
Absolutely.
I loved. So how much does it change? Coming up next, we'll ask a question about the regular season in some leagues and how much your viewership of those have changed and how much the league themselves are to blame for it. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
And the halo effect.
Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. On a monumental day, Johnny.
Yeah, it's May 1st.
Not just that.
It's going to be May.
It's the return of Wendy's.
What?
On Kincade and Salciunas. Wendy's gift cards are back, man.
Okay, now. That's awesome. A Wendy's gift card is back.
So here's what we're going
This
to
will
do.
be a challenge.
Once an
John.
hour, we have a $50 gift card to Wendy's. So what we did last year, if you guys missed it, at the end of each hour, we played a game called Know the Show, which is obviously something that you just listen to the show for each hour at a time, because we're not going to make you listen all 4 hours, as you should, though, because it's a great show, Johnny.
Yeah, we appreciate that.
But once an hour,
That's our opinion on it.
once an hour, we will play Know the Show. And at the end of each hour, I'll ask the question, and we'll tell you the number to call in, and the winner will get a $50 Wendy's gift card. We'll do this in the 6, 7, and 8 o'clock hours. We do have a little bit of a different spin in the 9 o'clock hour that we'll get to when we get there. Wendy's breakfast, 2 for $3 Biggie bundles, lets you choose your perfect duo from your fave 4, including a sausage or egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee at participating U.S. Wendy's. So just make sure you listen closely during this 6 o'clock hour from now until the end of the hour, because I didn't tell people to listen to it during the first 15 minutes.
That's good.
Deal?
Yeah, I think it's good. We had to set up everything that we're talking about anyway.
And so what we're talking about today is how much your viewership of sports or your following of sports have changed. And one of the big things that we talk about every once in a while is regular seasons, and how everything is about getting to and succeeding in the playoffs. Now, I think this changes every single year depending on your expectations for a team, John. But if you have high expectations, like championship or bust expectations, which we have this year for the Phillies, which we will have for the Eagles, which we had numerous times with the Sixers, depending on the sport,
That's a big brush.
sometimes people just ignore the regular season and say, wake me up come playoff time.
I hate that fan. I got to tell you, I hate that fandom
I agree with you.
as the worst amongst our fan base, because I don't consider them fans. Because if you tell me, wake me up when the playoffs start, then you're not invested all year long. You're not paying attention all year long. I don't consider you a fan. I consider you a casual. You're a casual. You are a bandwagon jumper. You are somebody who just jumps on when the party is starting.
Yeah.
You don't put in the blood, sweat, and tears. You don't deserve, like to me, I wondered the day of the parade. You saw people's faces. And I'm watching people's faces. And I'm watching people with literal tears in their eyes that they were going to a parade to watch the Eagles win the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And then I watched people who were there for the social event.
Right. Oh, my God. Yeah.
And you could see
Let me climb up on top of the bus station just so that people can cheer me on.
And to me, I'm looking at those people. I'm saying, I can tell the fans from the casual. And to me, I can't stand the fan that's like, because I don't consider them a fan. I consider them a fraud fan. Like, wake me when the playoffs
And we have a
start.
lot of that with the Phillies this season.
And the Sixers have created it.
Well, and that's
So I don't blame.
But hold on, it's not the Sixers, the NBA.
Well, no.
Now, if we're talking locally here, yes.
But I think the Sixers have created it over a quarter of a century of ineptitude. That they have done that. But hopefully they can find a way to change that.
It's not the quarter of a century of ineptitude. It's this era of load management, right? Because there was no load management when Iverson was playing.
No.
The guy had a broken tailbone. And they had to force him to not play.
They actually played. Yeah,
right.
They actually played.
Whereas nowadays, the NBA themselves tell you, let's just get to the playoffs. And then when we get to the playoffs, everything else will work itself out. But to the Sixers' point, they'll make the roster that you see at the beginning of the season. Daryl Morey himself has told you,
it won't be our
don't
roster.
base our roster in game one. Base our roster midway through the season. And so you're telling me that the first half of the season does not matter.
They don't take it seriously.
They ramped up this year, the first half of the season.
And look at all the Philly fans who want to tell you, it's only April.
It's only April. All right, coming up next.
Our own Connor Thomas.
We'll expand on that some more. Also, I'll give you another way sports viewership has changed, and I can use my own personal experience from just last night. And that, of course, involves the Phillies game, which we'll talk about a little bit next here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Phillies win another series. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update, and it's brought to you by Wendy's. With Wendy's Breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bags, you can choose the pair you want at participating U.S. Wendy's. The Phillies won the second game of their three-game series with the Washington Nationals last night by a score of 7-2. The win gives them back-to-back series wins. Christopher Sanchez was on the mound for the Phils after an early exit in his last start due to forearm tightness. Sanchez went 5 innings. He struck out 6, and he allowed 2 runs. At the plate, the Phils went deep 3 times, including a home run from JT Realmuto, Max Kepler, and a 3-run bomb from Kyle Schwarber. The Phils go for the sweep tonight against the Nationals. Taijuan Walker is going to be on the mound. First pitch is at 6:45. The Eagles made some offseason news yesterday when the team picked up the 5th-year option for defensive tackle Jordan Davis. Dave Zangaro from NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the afternoon show yesterday and said that move adds up.
I think it makes sense. You keep him around now through 2026, and you're still hoping that he can reach that full potential. The Eagles are still bullish on Jordan Davis.
With May here, next on the NFL agenda is the schedule release on May 14th, just a couple of weeks away. This update was also brought to you by Discover. Discover wants everyone to feel special. That's why they double all the cash back you've earned on your credit card at the end of your first year with Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/credit card. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the Truist Championship, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Bill Cullen.
97.5 The Fanatic. So we're talking about how much our viewership and following of sports has changed.
How'd you
And
do it different last night?
So last night is just an example of where we're at in today's day and age. So yesterday, as I mentioned earlier, I play basketball on Wednesdays. We resumed yesterday. Some people showed up. Others, like Brendan Gunn, did not. That's okay. Brendan Gunn
Had to make dinner.
He had to make dinner for the missus.
Had to make dinner.
Who's going away for a few days. And he had to make dinner.
Wait,
Wild.
she's going out of town.
Wild. Come on, man.
Man.
I'll be there next week.
What did you cook?
Mississippi pot roast. You know, it's just.
Mississippi pot
It
roast?
turns out I didn't have to make it anyway because her parents came.
What is Mississippi pot roast?
Coward.
Oh, it's so good. You look it up.
You
Google
don't
it.
get to have Wendy's today because you didn't work for it. I worked for my calories today, all right?
Oh, man.
Anyways, so yesterday, we're playing, and after you get to 16, you take a 5-minute breather. And Connor is checking his score on his phone, right?
Okay.
And when I get home, the first thing I did before I put the game on, I checked the box score because the game was coming to an end. By the time I showered and everything, the game was over.
Whoa. So you check a box score before going to watch it?
Well, there's a reason to it.
Okay, because you're bass backwards, in my opinion, on that.
Did my ticket hit?
Oh.
Because I knew I wasn't going to watch every single pitch, as we talked about. I like to fast forward, especially when I kind of know when the big moments are. If I miss the game in its entirety, which last night is one of those nights where I missed the game in its entirety until I watched it at night before I went to sleep. And so I checked the box score to see if my ticket hit.
Do you have the...
It did, by the way.
Do you have the... Very good for you. Do you have the at-bat app?
I don't, no.
Okay. If you have the at-bat app, you could watch, if let's say you missed the whole game. You're out playing hoops. The game's over. You can watch the condensed game. It's 12, 13 minutes.
Sure. I've seen that on YouTube the next day.
Or you can watch you can go to, we have the TV where you just catch up through key plays.
Yeah, but here's...
I'll do that.
Again, when it comes to baseball, I'm a loser. I like to see how the at-bat plays out. I know those things that you're talking about.
Right.
It's when the hit happens or when the play happens. I like to see how did it get to a 2-2 count? How were the other swings? Did they miss a pitch? What were the other things that happened during that
I like to see
at-bat?
that. I like to see that if I'm just watching a game.
Right. I do that when I
You're catch up on a game.
Yeah, I'm a loser. I'm a loser.
You really are.
I'm
when do you go to bed?
I don't.
That's crazy to me.
I was asleep by 11:45 last night.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
You're a
you know
freaking
me.
vampire.
I don't sleep.
No, you're a vampire.
It's an issue of mine. I was up at 3:00 this morning. I just woke up. It just happens. I don't sleep. It's a problem of mine. Anyways,
I think it's menopause.
could be. So, how much is your viewership in terms of sports change and your following of sports? And that's one of those things. I remember when I was a kid, if I missed the game, it was morning Sports Center to see if my team got a highlight, and if it didn't, then I checked the newspaper. Whoa, newspapers! I used to check the newspaper. That doesn't happen anymore.
No. Nobody even buys the newspaper
No.
for a
And
lot of
Sports
time.
Center doesn't even have highlights anymore.
Sometimes it doesn't. You're right.
If someone reads a newspaper, like you're reading it online, I'm going to Inquirer online.
Right.
Jeff McClain, I'm not getting ink on my fingers to read the latest from Jeff McClain.
Yeah, but now you don't even have to go to the Inquirer to see the score. You just Google Phillies score, and it pops up right there.
That's why I said the at-bat app, I love the at-bat app. I live on that thing. Because on my iPad, I could be sitting out at night on the back deck or the porch, and I could go, oh, wow, I get the alert. No hitter in Baltimore.
Right.
I can go right to my iPad and pull up the game and
and you're watching.
Pull it up.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It's awesome.
And that is a great
And that's changed everything.
But that's a great change, right?
That's a great
ability to watch any game at any time. You have told me stories. I remember having these talks with Ant and talking to my dad about these things. The tape delay of an NBA Finals.
The NBA Finals, when the Sixers were in the finals in 1981, was not on national TV.
Right.
Live.
Right. Could you imagine?
It was all yes, because I lived it.
I'm
it was
asking Brendan. Could you imagine if the NBA Finals game was not live?
It was
That's
shown
unreal.
It was shown at 11:35 after the 11 o'clock news.
Now they make the stupid mid-season tournament as if it's the NBA Finals.
I mean, it was.
They make the play-in tournament as if it's day 4 at Augusta. It's a big deal.
Unbelievable. Like you did not. You're listening on the radio to do things. I mean, life was not the same in how we view things. Like, how many people you want to know if somebody's a liar as a sports fan? Ask someone my age. Say, hey, did you watch when the U.S. won the Olympic gold? Oh, yeah. My whole family, we had a big party, and we were around the TV, and we all watched it. It was oh, my gosh, it was the biggest upset ever. Liar. The game wasn't even shown on television until it was already after. It was shown after the 11 o'clock news, and then it was shown the next day on TV.
Right.
It wasn't on TV.
At
but
that
you got
point,
all these
you already
people
knew the
going,
result.
yeah, my family had a party to watch the gold medal game versus Russia, and we're all around the TV. No, you didn't.
Yeah, and now you can watch cornhole on ESPN Plus. Like, it's amazing. And that's the beauty. The beauty of change in sports is the access to it. But there's also a lot of how we as people have changed watching sports because of what the leagues have kind of dictated in terms of regular seasons not mattering in some certain sports. And then there's the obsession with football, which you could speak to this better than I can. I don't remember it being this crazed.
No.
Where it's day in and day out. You and I did a post-show headlines discussion, I think it was earlier this week, not yesterday, about what's our relationship with football at this time, right? Now that the draft's over, rookie minicamps start on Friday, but is that like the biggest deal for people? Probably not. But, man, the NFL has made it a point where the day-to-day schedule from Jan 1 to December 31st, there is a legitimate talking point in football every day.
Mike Missanelli and Steve Fredericks used to do what I still consider it art as far as sports talk radio. This show, and I wish you guys had actually gotten to hear it. First of all, young, spry Mike being feisty and as hell, and the wise sage Steve Fredericks. I thought it was his sports talk radio at its best. Loved it. Loved their dynamic. Loved the energy. It was awesome. But they would talk incessantly about last night's Phillies game at like 3 in the afternoon when their show would start and break down last night's Phillies game.
Because at the time, there was not much else to do.
In the third inning last night, Jim Fergosi, that idiot, like what was he thinking last night with that pitch? And they could do a whole show on last night's Phillies game.
Yeah.
That's what sports talk radio used to be. There was no Eagles talk. We weren't talking Eagles in April and May and June.
Well,
unless something happened.
Right, unless something happened.
You were not talking Eagles in April, May, and June.
The phones worked back then?
Oh, the phone.
The phones. Let's go to the phones, man. But
yes.
But seriously.
The phones did work.
But that's what the NFL has done. The NFL has made it a point where they can be a talking point day in and day out. Like in the next hour, in the 7 o'clock hour, we have an hour of Eagles talk for you on May 1st.
On May 1st. And it's because the NFL has created that. And look what they've done. The NFL's created 13 days from now, 2 weeks from today, is like the morning I wake up after knowing the NFL schedule. And you know your fall schedule. You know the Eagles schedule.
Well, and remember, Selection Sunday used to be like that big.
It was a huge thing.
This was the big show. This was the big day where even though it wasn't necessarily the schedule, it was the bracket,
It was the biggest thing, the revelation of the bracket. Now it's an afterthought.
The NFL schedule release is the biggest of
huge.
the schedule release shows or anything like that.
How about this? NFL schedule release. Got better ratings. This is a good one for you. Got better ratings than first round NBA playoffs.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Like, more people watch that. More people watch, again.
And that's crazy because the NFL schedule release is more or less out by the time it's actually officially released.
And a lot of it is leaked and, in advance. We're going to know, I guarantee you, we're going to know 3 of the Eagles games before we go off the air the day of the schedule release.
Absolutely.
Because the Eagles are the Super Bowl champs. So we're going to probably hear about, because they're going to leak opening game.
Yes.
Opening game's going to get leaked. That's going to get leaked, so we're going to find out that one. This morning I had to correct one of those aggregator sites. The Eagles are rumored to be opening on
I was going to bring that up to you guys in the break. Hilarious.
Yeah, what do you mean rumored? It happens every year.
I said the Eagles are not rumored. They're opening Thursday, September 4th, you Gomer.
Oh, wait.
But you know
hold
what?
On.
Mom!
Hold on, I just got to.
I'll be upstairs soon.
Hold on, John, I got a phone call.
What?
Hello? The Cowboys and the Lions will both be playing on Thanksgiving.
Okay, is that rumor?
All right, guys, rumors are telling me that the Cowboys and the Lions will be playing on Thanksgiving.
And again, is that I can tell you that from people working with the networks that I know, saying they told me beware of Christmas
Yeah. Oh.
and beware of a Christmas day because.
Well, that'll change viewership for a lot of people.
Well, when they started the Christmas Day games, the Super Bowl champ has played on Christmas every time.
Yeah.
So the Super Bowl champ, the Chiefs.
Brendan, be ready to fill in for me on the pregame show.
There is a rumor Kansas City wants that game, though, right? Like the Lions and Cowboys have Thanksgiving. There's a rumor Kansas City wants that.
Well, I could tell you this. Christmas night in Philadelphia would be pretty cool.
Yeah, because you're done everything at that point.
But not Christmas at
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
No, I can't be doing
It's
that.
terrible.
Especially, I cooked for the whole,
Right.
both Salciunas and Matzik clans.
You're all over the place.
All right, coming up next, we'll check our text messages for the first time this morning. How has your viewership of sports or your following of
get
sports
selfish
changed?
about this conversation.
And don't say, oh, I've never changed. I've been the same. You haven't.
No, some people are very stuck in their
but the
ways.
access has changed.
Yeah, it's changed everything.
The ability to check a score has changed, to watch other games. Remember, I think Connor's the weird one that didn't want to watch Marlins
Steve.
Pirates on opening day. Because you can nowadays. You can double screen. You can triple screen. You weren't able to double. If you double screen back in the day, you were probably the rich kid on the block.
If you can't double screen opening day, seriously?
It's amazing. All right, also, we'll react to the Phillies game yesterday because that was a calming win for the Fightins yesterday, something we all needed. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5, The Fanatic.
Connor Thomas.
It's crazy. They had so many picks to use, but instead of saying, hey, we're going to...
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Before we get to our text messages on today's topic about how our viewership and following of sports have changed over the years, Phillies got a nice win yesterday, a relaxing win.
Wasn't that nice?
Man, 7-2, the final score for the Philadelphia Phillies. Christopher Sanchez looked
What'd you
okay, with the arm tightness. Look, I'm just happy he made it through an outing, right? 5 innings.
And I'm glad that they just got him in, got him out.
Yeah, 5 innings, 6 strikeouts, 5 hits, 2 runs. He did walk 3, a little uncharacteristic of him. But look, they didn't overdo it. They get early run support from Kyle Schwarber with a 3-run home run in the bottom of the first inning.
Which is the greatest thing for a pitcher trying to work through something, just to not have to walk the tightrope.
And I just needed, once again, sometimes my math doesn't math well. Is 3 greater than 1?
Yeah, it is, because Kyle Schwarber. Wait a minute.
Unless you're
though.
striking out.
But wait a minute, though. It'd be great to have him hit leadoff.
Yeah, because if he hits a leadoff home run, it's 1-0.
And when the pitcher gets that leadoff home run, they just feel that great energy. Such a load of crap.
3 runs are more than 1 run.
Because Melvin Belvin in the analytics department told somebody.
I just find it so funny.
It is so,
but he's
by
so
the
much
way,
better than leadoff
And
spot.
by the way, he just had his best April ever. His best April ever. Moving him out of the stupid leadoff spot.
Well, he
had his
split.
best.
He did some leadoff.
He did some leadoff. He was a cleanup hitter. He had his best. He had what? 90 at bats?
I'll pull it up for you right now.
I think he had 90 at bats.
All right.
Or 85 at bats.
Okay,
cleanup.
This makes me laugh so much. And I like, checkmate. All you losers out there with their calculators. Leadoff hitter Kyle Schwarber. As the leadoff hitter this year,
Yes.
hit 4 home runs. Great.
Nice.
In 9 games, 4 home runs, 35 at-bats, batted 200.
Yep.
Walked 6 times, struck out 10.
By the way, his ability to walk out of any position in the order is
yeah,
fantastic.
it's amazing. As the 4-hole hitter, which is what, I've just been asking for 3 years, but I'm the caveman.
Oh, yes.
For wanting, that's too old school.
You don't even understand what woo-boo is on the on the scoreboard.
WXO Bacon.
Yeah, you don't even understand the new age stats. You're so old.
Now, granted, John, he's had 8 more games in the cleanup spot than the leadoff spot.
Right.
So more chances to hit home runs.
Right.
He also has 4 home runs in the cleanup spot.
Yeah, how many RBI?
He has 14 RBI compared to 7.
Yeah, it's like wait a minute. This is strange. So you're telling me that when you hit a home run and you're batting cleanup, you're batting in the cleanup spot, and you have really good hitters in front of you.
There's a chance they're on base.
Okay, that's wild.
Yeah.
Now wait a minute. Is that a new age stat, or is that something that new in baseball?
Watch, it's going to
Or
go.
did that just
we're
come
going to go
about?
back to the opposite. Don't you worry.
Oh no! You know what I was waiting for during the scuffling for them to say, "Oh, we're scuffling." Phillies
Schwarber
aren't
back
winning
in
right
the
now.
leadoff spot.
I think we have to put Schwarber back.
I
in leadoff.
saw it on social
'Cause
media.
Panic Rob.
I saw it on social media, Johnny.
I thought that Rob was going to have to go to that move.
By the way, he's hitting 304 as the 4-hole hitter,
Whoa,
where he hit where he hit 200 as the leadoff guy. So just saying.
And by the way, which player in the batting order is the best batting average? Just wondering.
Oh, is it Rojas?
Yeah, the guy that they buried, the guy that they wouldn't give a chance early in the season because they so had to put all their
Brandon
chips
Marsh.
in the Brandon Marsh basket.
2 more hits for Johan Rojas.
Yeah, Johan Rojas last now
and a
batting
stolen base.
Now batting 304 and
Correct.
running and stealing bases and doing all the things that because you know what? Because Marsh can't steal first.
Well, because Marsh was traded for.
He can't exactly.
And that's all it comes down to.
And you know what? It's that's one I don't believe is on Rob. I believe that's
it's
upstairs.
By the way, real quick mention, just because we are quick to rip them, we should also celebrate Jose Ruiz, Tanner Banks, Carlos Hernandez, 4 innings of shutout baseball.
Tanner Banks, my eyes bugged out.
Struck out 4 batters.
My eyes bugged out last night.
He goes
Tanner
1 2/3, and that's an important 3 relievers that you need to start eating up innings over the course of the season, which is why a guy like Orion Kirkering might be struggling as much.
And I think that's part of it.
Or I worry about Jose Alvarado's longevity because he's throwing a lot and long innings. And so, you're going to need these other guys to step up and eat a day when you have a 7-2 lead. You need these relievers to just get you outs. And they did that yesterday.
And I don't know if people watching some of the stuff from ESPN and baseball and everything, they're talking about Painter, and just Painter comes up. The insiders believing the Phillies have no interest in putting Painter in the bullpen. So can we stop with that? Painter has been a starter his entire career.
All of these
whether
guys
he's a high school, and now his career. He's not a reliever. They're not looking to bring him up to make him a reliever.
Right, but somebody will be the odd man out come playoff time.
And that will probably be Ranger.
Yeah, because he's done
after
it
his
before.
back is stretched out, because you don't want to bring a guy back from a back injury.
It might be two of them. You really
What do
only
you
run.
think?
You only run 4 starters in the, in the playoffs.
You're 4.
So
And they're 4s.
Wheeler, Nola, Sanchez,
That's it.
Luzardo. No.
And that's it. No particular
specific order.
Nola last, please.
Probably.
Please.
And so the other 2 will probably be in the pen.
Yes.
Most
and
likely.
the thing is, I'm fine with that.
Yeah, come playoff time.
Come
Let them
playoff time.
Let them do their innings in the regular
By the way,
season.
would you have a problem? Well, it's a conversation for a later time. But there's a really good chance that you'd be wondering would they do a 6-man rotation?
Come regular season? No, I would love that.
Are you talking August?
It saves everybody's
No, but are you talking
arm.
August? I don't want to do a 6-man rotation in June and July.
I'll
not.
start July.
Yeah, I'm more August.
Or I guess post All-Star break.
Post All-Star break.
Yeah.
So like really late July. Maybe
Yeah.
I'd consider it at that
Sure.
point. So.
All right, what do we got on the text line, Gunner? How has your viewership or your following of sports changed over the years?
Yeah, we got Bruce checking in. He says, morning, gentlemen. I can honestly say within the past 10 years, my viewership of sports has increased every year. I love watching sports now. Baseball season, I have to have the Phillies on. Plus, it helps that I had a kid in the meantime, and my daughter
see?
now enjoys watching.
Look, that's a big part of it, too. I mean, not that I wasn't watching the Phillies before Coop, because you know how much I love baseball, but maybe I'd be doing something else. Maybe I'd be going to a bar with buddies, and the game. I know the game's there,
on, but you're
I'm
not
hanging out
watching
with the boys, right? Whereas now, man, when he falls asleep, I'm freaking exhausted.
Of course.
And so sitting down on my couch, my nice sectional, and throwing on the Phillies game and just laying back and watching the game and letting Tom McCarthy talk to me.
I'm going to
It's
tell
a beautiful thing, man.
And I'm going to tell you, Gunner, someday when you're a dad, and now for you, Andrew, to hear Liv now, what time's the game tonight?
Oh, yeah,
We're
it's
watching
beautiful.
the game. We got the game on tonight.
Yeah.
Or she'll text me and go, Casty,
Yeah.
whatever. It means that the time you spend too when your kid watches a game with you, like he said, his daughter watches with him now.
Yeah.
Your daughter may fall in love with sports and where it becomes part of her life.
Coop asked me the other day, Daddy, can we go to a Phillies game?
Okay, great. There you
Now-
go. Yes, you can.
Yes, we can. Now that means watching one inning and then doing everything else inside the ballpark. But hey,
Right now.
thinking
That's what that
of
means
can we
now.
go to a baseball? Him saying that at the age of 3 brought a tear to my eye.
Because I
John.
promise you, that changes. The more they get into it, when he starts playing T-ball and stuff, then that
Oh, yeah.
changes. Then they want to watch the baseball.
We're already doing 2-a-days, man. All right, coming up next,
He's
going
gonna
to
be that guy.
We'll reset today's
Gunner,
topics.
he's gonna be that parent.
We'll check more of our text messages on this discussion. Also, to start the 7 o'clock hour, we'll talk some Eagles. As we told you, it's the league that never sleeps. So on May 1st, we can talk about the Birds. Vegas win totals are out. But
I love
before
this.
we get there, Adam Schefter said something yesterday that made both John and I look up at each other. We'll play those for you coming up to start the 7 o'clock hour on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Phils win with the long ball. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies won the second game of their 3-game series with the Washington Nationals last night by a score of 7-2. The win gives them back-to-back series wins. Christopher Sanchez was on the mound last night for the Phillies after an early exit in his last start due to forearm tightness. Sanchez went 5 innings last night. He struck out 6 and he allowed 2 runs in the meantime. At the plate, the Phillies went deep 3 times, including home runs from JT Realmuto, Max Kepler, and a 3-run bomb from Kyle Schwarber, not in the leadoff hole. The Phillies go for the sweep tonight against the Nationals. Taijuan Walker's going to be on the mound. First pitch is at 6:45. The Eagles made some offseason news yesterday when the team picked up the 5th-year option on defensive tackle Jordan Davis. Dave Zangaro from NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the afternoon show yesterday and said that move, well, it adds up.
I think it makes sense you keep him around now through 2026, and you're still hoping that he can reach that full potential. The Eagles are still bullish on Jordan Davis.
With May here, the next thing on the NFL agenda is that schedule release coming up on May 14th. This update was brought to you by Wendy's. With Wendy's Breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles, you choose the pair you want at participating U.S. Wendy's. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the Truist Championship, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Ricky Vitalico.
Howie is just, I don't know why it falls to everything kind of falls.
by the Fanatic. So I got to do the first know the show question. So are we still doing the old 610-632-0975 contest line still down? Okay. So first know the show question for hour number one. Again, each hour today, except for the 9 o'clock hour because we're going to do something different. We're going to play Know the Show for your chance to win a $50 Wendy's gift card. Wendy's breakfast, 2 for $3 Biggie bundles. Lets you choose your perfect duo from your fave 4, including a sausage or egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee at participating U.S. Wendy's. We have taken one text message so far to start the show because John and I are just chit-chatting.
We're chatty today.
Who was the first texter of today's show? First caller at 610-632-0975 that gets the name of the first texter.
Really?
Correct. Will win the first $50 Wendy's gift card. Did you listen closely enough to remember?
Absolutely not.
See, I remember. Now, the reason why I remember is because one of my buddies' dads has that first name. And I always wonder if that's him.
Okay, this is like the worst know the show question ever.
Why? Just because you don't pay attention to
The
our great
texter's
texters.
name?
Just think of a superhero.
Yeah, I got you.
Just because you don't pay attention
No,
to
I mean,
our
that's just
texters' names
unbelievable.
doesn't mean that the rest of the people don't care about the names of our texters.
I hope
Johnny.
the YouTube audience speaks out on this because it sounds stupid, but it's good. I like it.
Just because you don't know the answer doesn't make it stupid, John.
I'm going to say it
if
sounds
anything,
a little.
you know what? If anything, that makes it a better question.
We got Sleepy John over there, not paying attention to the texter's name.
You know, Rob Thompson, I hope
Yes.
he's listening going, oh, this
Texter's
guy
names.
that always takes shots at me.
It's the
can't even
texter's
remember
names.
one texter's name from the last segment.
Yeah.
Texters'
Wow.
names.
Man,
There we go.
I see how it is. He doesn't care about our texters.
Texters' names.
Wow.
No, not the names. I do not. I really don't. The comment.
my
The comment. I do. The comments are great.
I
we
hope
love
that
interacting.
man whose name starts with the letter B comes to FanFest and flips you off.
Says hi. How you doing?
All right. So what we're talking about today, speaking of texters, we'll get more text messages here. How much has your viewership and your following of sports changed? We have a bunch of these sort of talking points regarding this topic over the course of the show, but so far what we started with was how the regular season and your viewership and following of the regular season has changed. Maybe not all sports. Like, I think everybody's watching the Eagles, right? Like,
Everybody watches the.
game 1 through game 17 of the regular season, most people are, I should say.
Oh no, it's the numbers spell it out. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
But maybe the Sixers, who have told you, literally the president of basketball operations has told you, don't judge the team on game 1, judge us after the trade deadline and the buyout period. Well, then why should I watch the first, 30 to 40 games? I will. But why should another person, maybe a casual Sixers fan, if the president of basketball operations is saying, hey, don't judge this team, then what's the point of watching?
Well, the fans showed you at the end of the year. The Flyers were out on the Sixers.
Yeah.
From Christmas on. I mean, it's like there was nothing to do, and it was injuries and other issues that were a part of it. But fans can tune out, and I think that's where you get the casual element versus the diehard.
Right.
The diehard. Sometimes the diehard hate watches
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
their own team. They hate watch it because I remember 2020 hate watching to see don't screw up this draft pick.
Yeah.
Like I wanted the best draft pick possible.
Yeah.
So the way and sometimes that some people think that makes you a bad fan.
All right, give us a text message at 610-632-0975.
Who's the
Gunner.
texter?
Will, John. His name is Will.
Did we get? By the way, did we get a winner?
I have not cooperated with Nate yet, so
All right,
hopefully
'cause I'm
he's got a
curious.
winner on that
I'm
side.
Curious, but
Hey,
what's
yeah,
up,
Max,
Will?
this might be like 10
Will,
o'clock.
I just want to know. I just want you to know that I care about you, Will.
Will says, not much of a hockey guy, but I always try to support my Philly teams. That being said, that's the only sport I don't start watching until the postseason. This year, it kind of was the same with basketball. I was out on them early with the Sixers. I cannot say that about football or baseball. I always pay attention to certain moments with all the other sports, but I pay attention to all the moments with them.
Okay, and that's fair. I mean, that's like the
Well,
casual
sometimes your
fan.
devotion there is time element with people.
Right.
Like you just can't do it.
Like-
There's things you can't do.
My wife is not a sports fan, or a big sports fan, I should say.
We're both married to women who are not.
Yeah. So, like, there will be the day where we go out to dinner and I miss the Phillies game and I have
Right.
to rewatch it later
Right.
on because my wife doesn't want to go to the local sports bar just to watch the Phillies game.
So your wife and my wife very similar.
Yeah.
If you're watching a game that you have to watch,
Yes.
you say Christy's got a book.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Christina
Yeah.
has a book. Christina has a book, or she's doing something. Like
Yeah.
she's doing something on her iPad or whatever. But she's not watching the game, but she's there with
Yeah.
me.
Or if it's a 1:00 Eagles game in September or
She's doing
October,
something
November,
else.
she might take Coop to the park.
Yeah, my wife's
or,
doing something
or something.
else.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll see you later.
All right, you're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN, HD1, Burlington, Philadelphia, BZ Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. From now until the end of this hour, make sure you listen to the show closely. The
And
next
thank
know
you,
the
Will,
show.
for listening.
And I will tell you that this next question, at some point this hour, hopefully will be better for John Kincade.
And Batman, who texted earlier.
Oh, man. I listen closely to our names. All right, a couple of Eagles things that we're going to get into this hour. First, yesterday we had Adam Schefter on. Shefty joins us every single Wednesday. Next week it will be Tuesday.
Yes.
But he joins us every single Wednesday around 7:55. And, of course, this was the first time we had the chance to talk to him after the NFL draft. And so we got into a bunch of things with him, obviously the Shedeur Sanders stuff, but we focused mainly on the Eagles. And we asked him about Jihad Campbell. And if you remember, there was reports that the Eagles were trying to trade up as high as pick 22 with the Chargers, and then ultimately only had to climb up one spot, swapping with the Chiefs, 31 and 32, to get Jihad Campbell. And I asked Shefty yesterday if they were trying to trade up for somebody else, because there were the rumors floating out there that maybe they were trying to trade up for Malachi Starks because he was still on the board. But Shefty said it right away to us. No, they traded up for Jihad Campbell. They were trying to trade up as high as 22 for Jihad Campbell. Then I asked him why he fell, Johnny. And this was a moment where you and I looked up at each other and said, this is a little concerning. Take a listen. And any reason why he fell to 31, a lot of people had Campbell as a top 10 prospect in the NFL draft. Eagles get him at 31. What have been the things that you've heard about the fall in the first round for Jihad Campbell?
Well, he's recovering from surgery on one shoulder. There are teams that believe he's going to need surgery on his other shoulder after the season, and there are teams that believe that he has a knee issue over time, degenerative. Now, again, doesn't mean it is, doesn't mean it will happen. He is a great player. He's a top 10 talent. But when a top 10 talent falls to pick number 31, there are reasons. And if we're going to look for the reasons, it's his left shoulder, it's his right shoulder, and it's the condition of his knee. And we'll see over time how valid those medical concerns are or aren't.
That bothered me big time, and I just hoped that the Sixers doctors didn't consult with them.
When I heard degenerative knee, I already had major flashbacks to 2025, because we're dealing with that with Joel Embiid. But the second shoulder surgery, the fact that they're already preparing for that. Now, he said postseason or after the season he'll need it.
Well,
how am I supposed to know he doesn't get dinged up in week 3 and need it?
And how could they say, I don't understand how you can say that. You're going to need a surgery after the next season that you play. There must be something that is.
Maybe it's hey, this is something where it's not severe. It's something that you'll need cleaned up. But you can play through year 1. And by the way, your rookie season, we want you to get out in the field. I don't know.
Could be. It's why
I'm not a doctor, so
I don't know why you wouldn't have done it. Why you wouldn't have done it before? But
I mean, the guy's got to use his arm. You want double shoulder surgery?
No, but I'm looking at shoulders. Could you only do one at a time?
Walk around like penguins.
See, I don't know. Could you have only done one at a time?
Good question. Again, not a doctor. We should call someone.
That's what concerns me. So,
but yeah, when he said that
concerned me and we both looked at each other like, whoa.
Oh, that's kind of concerning.
And both knees.
Now, you then followed up and said, all right, so some teams' medical personnel are worried about it, some aren't. Here was Adam Schefter talking about the Eagles specifically and how they are not concerned.
But, John, you got to understand where they're taking him, and you have to understand the risk that's involved. And they would not be taking him at all if they were overly concerned about medicals.
Good.
If the medicals were such a concern, they would never use the pick. Let me say this. The Eagles and other teams are very diligent and judicious in who they leave on their board and who they take off. The Eagles would never take some of these players that other teams have taken. And in this particular case, is it a flag? Yes. Is it to the point where it's troubling enough that they took him off their board? No, it's not. So they thought it was a great value. They took him where they did, and we'll see how it goes.
Now, the great value part. So that means if they were picking at 15, would they have taken him?
I don't believe. To me, that says they wouldn't have.
Now, 22.
How do you read that?
I say no. If they were at 15, even though he's a top 10 talent, I don't think they would have selected him.
Correct.
But they did try trading up as high as 22, according to reports.
And that's according to reports there. That some of it concerned me, even though I love this player.
Right.
But it's obvious that there was an overwhelming opinion in the NFL that this guy was a huge medical risk.
Right, for him to fall that far when he's a top 10 player on people's big boards.
It sort of was a brass balls move.
Yeah, and it's not like there was a run on like 6 quarterbacks, and that's why he dropped, right? There was only, one quarterback dropped? Or 2, because Jackson Dart, they trade up for the Giants. But, yeah, it's not like there was a bunch of quarterbacks being selected.
Which
so
I'm
there
still
is a reason why he
fascinated by the Jackson Dart thing.
Yeah, it's amazing, man.
I was talking to a guy who covers the SEC the other day, a buddy of mine who's now doing Brave stuff. And he was like, wow. He thinks Jackson Dart at 45? Where Jalen Hurts was taken?
Yeah, makes sense. But 25,
he said 25 and trading. Yeah, he was surprised.
Unbelievable.
And he watched them a lot.
All right, coming up next, Vegas win totals for the Philadelphia Eagles and the rest of the NFL.
I'm so excited.
So we're 2 weeks away from schedule release day.
So excited.
Based on the opponents, what is the over-under for the Birds? You'll find out next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
We want to hear from you.
So text. 7:12 here on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. Gunnar, get a text message for us, and then for the first time in 2025, we get to go through the Vegas win totals for the Philadelphia Eagles, other teams in the NFC East, the NFC, the NFL. We'll start with the Eagles, obviously, but I wanted to get a text message in on how our viewership in sports have changed over the years. That's our main topic so far this morning that you could text in at 610-632-0975.
Yeah, we got our guy Joe the Cynic checking in saying working nights now, either watch or listen to feeds of the West Coast games now, which basically doubles my investment into sports. Basically, I'm 4 times more involved in games than Mike Trout plays in a year.
And he unfortunately got pulled from the game yesterday, but he believes he'll be back in the lineup today. It's funny. As I mentioned to you numerous times, I don't hide it. I have really bad sleeping issues. Like I don't sleep much. Back when I was still, working middays, and you could obviously sleep in a little bit later, right? Not 4 o'clock in the morning. I would watch West Coast games and not just whatever was on ESPN.
This always fascinated me when you would tell me.
I would watch Warriors Rockets because it was on TV.
Can't get over it.
Now again, I can't sleep. So what else am I going to do? What am I going to do? Just stare at a ceiling fan?
I love sleep. I can sleep. When you have a clean conscience, you can sleep.
I don't have that apparently.
And so sleep is something that I absolutely love and adore.
Yeah.
Oh man.
I wish, but
That's brutal.
You got to watch Warriors Rockets. What do you?
That's crazy to me.
What are you
it's
gonna
just
do?
crazy to me.
And I'm not just talking about this playoff series. I'm talking about 5 years ago. Watching Steph and a bad Rockets
team. Now
team.
the weird thing is, when I was like a college student, and after it, I watched Letterman every night.
Every night, yeah.
Like I would watch Letterman was just part, but it was like then my body clock just completely changed.
Right, exactly.
So as far as can't do it.
Yeah, my body clock has not changed with this whole morning show shift. All right, Johnny.
Which is crazy to me.
Eagles win total. Do you have them in front of you?
I do.
And what is the Eagles over-under for wins?
Gunnar, did you see this? The Vegas win totals are out. And by the way, now all along the strip, they're all following suit as far as the numbers are posted.
I have not seen it at all.
Okay.
And this is pre-schedule release,
this is
so maybe it'll
pre-schedule release,
change.
and they do get. And by the way, they do many, many times minor changes. Last year, after schedule release, 3 teams saw this number change.
Okay.
At MGM resorts across the strip. What would you guess, Gunnar? Over under set for the Eagles at how many wins?
I'm teetering between 10.5 and 11.5. I'm going to go.
You have to go and answer.
I'm going to go 10.5.
That's what I had said the number would be when it came out. Did you? You looked.
I've seen it, yeah.
11.5.
Now, we have said on this show.
I thought 10.5 was the number.
Well, because 12 wins.
12 wins is wild for this schedule.
Staying healthy again.
And with the opponents that they have, you're right, they're staying healthy because they played the furthest amount of games possible, winning the Super Bowl.
I think 12-5, you will be the NFC champions.
You'll be clearly the best.
I think you're going to be the NFC champions because I don't see another, and this is crazy to me, I don't see another 12-win team in the NFC. So I ask you, without you now looking at it, either one of you really like diving into it. If you're looking at the other teams in the NFC, who do you think they see as the best team in the NFC? Like as far as the over-under number?
Eagles or Lions.
Yeah. Who is the Eagles? So you say Lions.
Eagles or Lions, yeah.
Who's the best team besides the Eagles? I don't know. I would have to say Lions, too.
Yeah, they go Lions.
Okay, yeah.
Lions, they go 10.5. Okay, so
and we'll see how it plays out with the new coordinator.
They go 10.5 for the Lions.
I was kind of iffy on that because that division's so good.
But here's what's going to shock you. Well, it might not shock you guys. It may be something that I'm reading too much into it. The Eagles 11.5, Lions 10.5. Only one other team touches double digits
in the NFC.
In the NFC, who is it?
Tampa. That's my guess.
Minnesota, Green Bay,
Minnesota. No, 8.5.
Rookie courts.
Green Bay. No, 9.5. Tampa. No. 9.5.
See, I think they win that division by.
Do they go back to the San Fran thing again?
San Francisco. No. Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. I'm sorry. I have 2. It's Rams and San Fran, both at 10.
Oh, Rams I could see. San Fran.
Rams and
at
San
10?
Fran, both are 10. This is where I tell you, Vegas is sending you a message. So I sent to my boy in Vegas yesterday. I said, what do these numbers, I don't skew it in any way.
Right.
I said, the literal text I sent is, what do these early numbers tell you? This gentleman works for MGM Resorts and helps to set the lines for all of the hotels out there.
And these are the smartest people in the world.
They research everything.
Smarter than doctors.
There is a room that they have one room that has 374 screens in it.
Yeah.
Between computer screens, video screens, and everything. And I said, what do these numbers mean to you? Soft NFC, but a knife fight in the 10-win category.
Okay.
Knife fight in the 10-win category, but a softer top of the NFC. So to me, 12-5 with the first of all, 12-5 with the Eagles schedule would be amazing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Coming
amazing.
up next, we'll remind you who the opponents are.
Right,
We get the schedule in 2 weeks, but the
it's
opponents,
brutal.
yeah.
But also to look at that, they're saying to you, yeah, the Lions are a threat, but Rams, 49ers. By the way, they also have, and this is such interesting. They have the Cardinals at 8.5. They have the Seahawks at 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
So they think that NFC West is all going to be like a big jumble.
That makes week 1 so important if you're facing either the Lions or the Rams in that case, because that's going to be the one seed.
Could be the one
And by
seed.
the way, the Commanders, what's the number?
9.5.
Very good, Andrew Salciunas. 9.5 for the Commanders.
Yeah, I think they take a slight step back.
Cowboys 7.5.
Yeah.
New York Giants 5.5. So in other words, soft division. He said for your boys,
Yeah.
soft division, a 5-1 landing in the division would be a necessity with their schedule.
Right. So here's what we're going to do. Coming up next, we'll go through the opponents for the Birds. Again, the over-under is 11.5. We'll look at how this Eagles opponent breaks down and why we keep on saying 12 wins would be like an elite
Amazing.
season for the Eagles. Also, we'll look some more at those contenders that you just mentioned and whether or not we buy into them. Because 10.5 for San Francisco? I'm not ready to believe that just yet. It's Kincade and Salciunas here on 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phils win back-to-back series. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies won the second game of their 3-game series with the Washington Nationals last night by a score of 7-2. The win gives them back-to-back series wins after beating the Cubs last week. Christopher Sanchez was on the mound for the Phillies after his early exit last week and is due to his forearm tightness. Sanchez went 5 innings last night, struck out 6 and allowed 2 runs. At the plate, the Phillies went deep 3 times, including home runs from JT Realmuto, Max Kepler, and a 3-run bomb from Kyle Schwarber. The Phils go for the sweep tonight against the Nationals. Taijuan Walker's going to be on the mound. First pitch is at 6:45. The Eagles made some offseason news yesterday when the team picked up the 5th-year option for defensive tackle Jordan Davis. Dave Zangaro from NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the afternoon show yesterday and said, well, that move, it adds up.
I think it makes sense you keep him around now through 2026, and you're still hoping that he can reach that full potential. The Eagles are still bullish on Jordan Davis.
May is now here, and the next thing on the NFL agenda is the schedule release coming up on May 14th. We'll break that down coming up on the other side right here, all the Eagles' opponents in 2025. This update was brought to you by Wendy's. With Wendy's Breakfast 2 for $3 big bundles, you can choose the pair you want at participating U.S. Wendy's. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the Truist Championship, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Hall of Fame baseball insider Jason Stark.
I've thought for a long time.
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Talking about how our viewership and following of sports has changed. And look, this is another big one. I know over-unders have always been around, right? Like, I'm not naive to think that gambling just started when it was available on your phone. But even just breaking down over-unders, I believe, has increased because I think more people care about it nowadays, right? The access to gambling. I told you, I know people that barely watch sports and bet.
People absolutely care much more about it now.
And that's one of the things that have changed in terms of our following and viewership. The fact that over-unders come out at the end of April and we're talking about it. It's incredible how much our viewership and following of sports has changed, either for the better, for the worse, more interest, lack of interest. A lot of things have changed. There's a lot more at your disposal nowadays other than sports. I get it. But I also think sports have increased, especially football. Duh. But you see baseball numbers going up here, at least locally, because the Phillies are worthy of your time when they weren't for about 10 years. And once the Flyers are back to legitimate relevancy, it's going to boom here again.
Well, again, the Flyers are going to when the Flyers do hit that mark, and hopefully they do, and it goes quicker. No fan base comes back more rabid quickly,
right,
than Flyers because it just they've been laying dormant forever, waiting.
Yeah,
but you see it, the Flyers this year. There was a hell of a lot more energy in the Wells Fargo Center for Flyers than Sixers.
Well, because
it wasn't close.
There's a light.
Well, they also are.
There's a light at the end of the tunnel. The Flyers have one. The Sixers, they're running away from the light.
And there are three. Like for this offseason, and it's not to go too much in the weeds. There are 3 first-round draft picks.
Yeah, it's exciting.
You're talking about. And by the way, tonight, just for in your own mind, we are rooting like hell for Dallas tonight. Because you want Dallas to knock out the Avalanche because we have their first-round pick. So you want the Avalanche out tonight.
So you get a higher
pick. Get them
pick.
out of there. And it wouldn't be bad, too, if the Kings could somehow beat Edmonton and force a Game 7 and win that series because you have their first-round pick, too. The Flyers are going to have 3 first-round picks.
Yeah, I love that.
There's so much. The Flyers the next 2 years have such draft capital. It's wild.
And that's why they have the light, man.
And they got money to spend, too.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so Eagles win total, 11.5. Now, the reason why we are so amazed by that over-under, in case people forget or just don't know who the opponents are this year, the schedule comes out in 13 days, so we don't know how it's going to break down, but we know who they're playing at home. We know who they're playing on the road. Obviously, you have your 3 divisional games, Cowboys, Giants, Commanders, both home and away. We know that the Commanders beat you one time last year. That was also when Jalen Hurts got concussed in the first quarter.
But the Eagles were blowing them out.
But the Commanders did get to the NFC Championship game, right? They are a formidable opponent. Giants, Cowboys might not be there, but it's divisional games. They're going to be difficult. So let's go through the home games first. You have the Bears.
Yep.
Might be a season too early for you to start saying that's a concerning game, but who knows?
I think the Bears are most certainly can be a problem.
Yeah, I think they could be.
Yeah.
The Lions, which will be a very difficult game.
It's going to be a difficult game. Going to be a great game to watch.
The Broncos, playoff team last year.
Yeah, I'm not as worried about that one.
The Raiders, we'll see.
No, I'm not that worried about that one.
So those are both W's in John's book.
No, I'm not saying any.
How about that? It's good work by you. But we don't know. It might be after a gauntlet, so we got to be careful.
And 2, it can come between. There can be trap games, too, because that's Bill Colarulo.
We got to try to figure out which one the trap games are.
Bill Colarulo, he's on a fence about a fence. He's got to tell you about the trap games next week.
So they can win or lose any game.
Right,
exactly.
They could.
That is the key, because that is the fact. Go on.
Yeah, I feel really confident in this game, but they could lose. And then finally, the Rams at home, which will be the rematch of the divisional round, and there's going to be some extra energy for that one.
And I do think, by the way, there have been games where, like the Giants won the Super Bowl and opened with the Cowboys. So, divisional games not out of the question that the Eagles could open up their Super Bowl night with the Commanders.
Right.
That could happen. But as you so well pointed out, Brendan Gunn, that first game is going to be a huge game
regardless of who they play.
And this past year, it could have been a huge game when Jeffrey Lurie gave a game away to Brazil against the Packers.
Yeah.
Could have been huge.
So 4 of the 8 teams you're playing at home were in the playoffs last year in the Lions, Broncos, Rams, and Commanders. The road schedule, your 3 divisional games, and then it gets difficult. The Bucs, the Packers.
Bucks, you play terribly anytime you face them.
The Bucs, the Packers, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Vikings, the Bills, they all have something in common.
Dude, they
were all in the playoffs last year.
It's such a nasty road schedule. It is the hardest. Now, again, schedules are not played on paper.
Right.
But that is the hardest road schedule the Eagles have ever had. Ever.
So the fact that Vegas, the smartest people when it comes to sports, smarter than any GM, right? Smarter than any head coach.
That's why they build billion-dollar casinos.
11.5 is the over-under.
They believe the Eagles are going to. But remember, now this is the one other text that I did not read you. Remember, John, because sometimes you don't grasp this fully. I love that when someone
it's really nice.
When someone gives you the condescending thing. The 11.5 number is always set on what Vegas thinks about the team, but also it is a number set to try to get action on both sides of the number.
Oh, of course, right. But they're always very close. And
they're very close.
So 11 wins is that's a good season for the Birds, right? It's a great season for the Birds.
11 would be a fantastic year, but 12
would be like an elite year with those opponents that we just went through.
12 would be freaking unbelievable.
And so the other teams that you mentioned, the San Francisco 49ers it's an even 10, right?
It's an even 10 as are the 49ers and the Rams.
The Rams,
Cardinals 8.5.
That division's going to be tough because the Cardinals taking another step forward. I just don't see the Niners being there. And look, last year I was afraid of them until they got the final knife in their heart, right? Like I needed Dracula to be taken out. But with all the turnover that they've had this offseason, and I know they'll still have McCaffrey, but there's going to be the contract looming over the head of Brock Purdy.
Ayuk got hurt.
Yeah.
Debo's gone. Trent Williams is ancient.
I don't know if I really believe the 49ers to be some really tough opponent.
I absolutely believe the 49ers are a 10-win type team. 10-win type team. Like, that's the neighborhood. Absolutely believe it. That's where they're going to end up. That, like, if they're, again, I'm just guessing on hopefully that they're going to be healthy. You know? That they'll be
but
healthy.
Even some of their better players are gone. They're gone.
I don't think the division's that. I think the division's a knife fight, and I think the Rams are the best team in the division.
I do too.
I'm shocked though that I'm just shocked that the 49ers and the Rams are even.
Right, exactly.
That surprises me.
If anything, give one a 10.5, one a 9.5.
But also though, 49ers are also one of those teams like the Packers. The 49ers, Packers, Cowboys, Steelers. 49ers, Packers, Cowboys, Steelers are the 4 most popular national teams that Vegas casinos, now this is the casinos, received season bets on. So, for whatever reason, it's Packers, it's 49ers, and them. So maybe that's it.
Well, actually, there could also just be one more quick research as we do the Eagles opponents. I looked at the Niners opponents.
Yeah? How soft is it?
Cardinals, Rams, Seahawks, both home and away, as you know, the division. Falcons, Panthers, Jags, Titans, Bears at home. So not really difficult opponents.
It's not.
On the road, Browns, Texans, Colts, Saints, Giants, Bucks. Pretty light opponent breakdown, pre-schedule release date, how are these teams taking the next step forward. But on paper, now I can understand why they might have 10 wins. But still,
it's not a scary 10 wins.
No, like
it's
come playoff time, Eagles, Niners, go Birds.
Yeah,
I don't think it's close.
Again, here would be my key. Can you stay ahead? Well, first off, you got to win your division.
Yes.
Because you have to guarantee yourself a home game. because you don't get a home game unless you win your division.
Right.
So you got to guarantee yourself the home game. And I really, truly believe the Eagles are the best team in the division. So I'm not really worried that they're going to win the division, that the Commanders are ready to step up and take the division from them. But can you be ahead of the Lions? Can you be ahead of the Rams?
Yeah.
And you get to play both of those teams at home, which helps you out.
You know what else helps me out?
What?
Wendy's.
Oh, wait a
Wendy's
minute.
in my stomach will help me out for the remainder of the show.
Okay,
man.
and you promised me with the delicious food from Wendy's, you're going to help me out because obviously I've been doing this health and fitness routine here as I finish out my cancer treatments.
Yeah.
All my cancer recovery. I've been doing so much to drop weight and to get into shape, and you're gonna look out for me because that Wendy's food's delicious.
Yeah, I'm just going to eat it all.
Okay, that helps me.
I'll take care of it. Don't you worry.
You must keep me away from the delicious cinnamon swirl.
Yeah, don't worry.
Cinnabon thing.
I'll take care of that
If I
one.
take one of those, by the way, humiliate me publicly.
Brendan will eat like 6 of them.
Yes, sir.
Say John has been trying not to be the fat boy, and so call me on it.
All right, coming up next, we'll check our text messages on today's main topic, but also Matt Miller, a draft analyst that made you smile earlier this week, like ear to ear.
No, he's really good too.
He did a breakdown on the NFL draft, his top 100 selections. So I'll explain more coming up next. How many are the Eagles players in the top 100? We'll go through that with you next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
And the halo effect with Howie Roseman's draft. Get it to-
going to give you the top 100 players selected in the draft based off of where they were selected, obviously the player themselves, their value. And it's from Matt Miller, who made John smile ear to ear earlier this week because he
I respect him so much. Make sure I get. I respect his work so much that if he speaks, I'm like, okay, it's sort of like DeCecco.
Yeah, he talked about the Eagles draft as if it was the best draft ever. Not really, but he did say in his bold prediction, because they did like a 30 question and answer story. And one of the questions was give a bold prediction from this draft. And the guy that he did the article with, they both answered the questions. I forget who it was. The one guy said, oh, the running backs are going to be really good. Matt Miller's was, this draft for the Eagles will continue their dominance in the NFC. And when you're reading that, you're going, damn, he really liked what the Eagles did. But before we go through it, I do want to get a couple text messages in. Our topic today: how has your viewership or your following of sports changed over the years? Because you watch regular season basketball, maybe, and then you get to the playoffs, and that's all you really care about. Football, you'll watch every single week, but football, you may be watching more of. Red Zone was a big change in life of viewership for the sport of football.
God, do I love it.
It's
God,
great.
And God, do I love it.
All right, what do we got on the text line?
We got Faye in Pottstown checking in, saying in the past 10 years, I went from a casual Philly sports fan to a more well-rounded and more informed fan, largely in part because I have a 90-minute commute to work and I listen to sports talk radio the whole way back and forth. Yeah, see, a lot of people say we make the audience dumber. Not her, not Faye.
Wait a minute. Does 90-minute, and maybe she'll text back, 90-minute mean 90-minute each way? Or
90 minutes one way. Yep.
Wow, that's horrible.
I can't imagine 3 hours a day. Oh, my gosh, I can't do it.
Oh, it's a job that you love.
No, but 3 hours in the car. Oh, my gosh, it's crazy.
Well, we appreciate you listening, Faye, for all 90 minutes,
Faye, we love you.
And from all 90 minutes back.
That is awesome. That is awesome.
All right.
Like I'd crawl out the roof in traffic.
Yeah.
I would just crawl out the roof.
What else we got on the text line?
We got Steve checking in saying, I feel like my peak sports knowledge and sports viewership was back in college. I had all the time in the world to stay up. Now my wife understands when I watch the Birds, but she'd try to kill me if I did that same thing for the Sixers and the Phillies. Betting helps, though.
Okay, so, and that's part of it, too, is my wife will say to me some nights, you have to be up at 4 a.m.
Right.
And can't you go to bed on this game? Now, she knows if it's football, don't even ask.
Right.
But if it's like a Sixers game or a Flyers game or a Phillies game, she's like, come on. Like, if it's...
Oh, yeah,
especially if she
I've gotten the, do we have to watch this game tonight?
Oh, I've gotten that a couple times, but not often.
Yeah.
But the idea of, can't you go to bed tonight? Mm-hmm. You've had or you have a big day tomorrow.
Yeah.
I know you got a big day tomorrow. So, hey.
Now, here's another thing. And I'll ask you this because you have been married longer than I have.
Quite a while.
My wife and I, we don't really have, like, the joint shows. Like, we, every once in a while, especially when she was pregnant, like, we watched a bunch of stuff together.
Or COVID.
Yeah. But there's no, like, the daily sitcom's gone, right? Like, the shows on Channel 3, 6, and 10 aren't really the same as they used to be.
You don't go to Genoa City and Port Charles.
No, I don't watch those like you do.
So you don't do that.
So if we had a show, or it was more so she had a show and I kind of watched with her, like my parents still do that, right? Like my mom has shows that she loves and my dad will sit there and watch the episode with her.
Will he watch it actively? Like, is he into it or not?
He'll be into it and he'll complain about it right afterward.
Oh, well, that's not good. Come on, Dad.
I can now, and I'm sure this is a lot different than back in the day, John. If it's a show that, like, all right, we'll watch together, but I'm not going to be as invested as her, I could put the game on my laptop.
Okay, but that's fine, and she doesn't mind it, right?
No.
Okay, that's cool.
But think about how that's changed. Like, back in the day, you used to have to, when Grey's Anatomy, I still remember Grey's Anatomy because it's been going on for 75 years. That's one of my mom's shows, and my dad will watch it with her.
He'll watch Grey's with her?
Before dual screen, before laptop, where you're streaming games, he had to watch the Grey's Anatomy. And finally, when Grey's Anatomy was over, that's when he'd put the Phillies game, or depending on the year, Sixers or Flyers.
And Grey's is a late show.
Right.
I don't watch it.
But nowadays, you can do both. And that's the beauty for some guys, right, that don't want to watch that show. It's a beautiful thing.
General Hospital tapes here. Grey's Anatomy tapes here. Jimmy Kimmel tapes here. They all tape at the same place. So
how about
Grey's
that?
Anatomy is right next to Port Charles.
It's
beautiful. Amazing.
All right, so Matt Miller ranked the 100 best picks in the NFL draft. Now, again,
100 best. See, this is creative content.
It is creative
This is
content.
nice. See,
this is not grades.
See, this is something that I'm here for. Matt Miller is taking it to a new level.
He is.
That's really good.
So this is not the best player, and then the second best player, and then third best player. He did this based off of the talent of the player, obviously, and then where were they selected, right? So Jahad Campbell was a top 10 talent,
okay,
but fell to 31. So that's why he has Jahad Campbell being the fourth best selection in the NFL draft because of what his value was and where you got him. Because the Eagles got a top 10 talent at 31.
Okay, this is
he has
fascinating.
Jahad Campbell at number 4. In case you're wondering, ahead of them, Luther Burden, the wide receiver to the Chicago Bears, he has as the number 1 selection.
Where did they get Burden?
Second round, 39th overall.
Because Burden should have gone like 25th.
So he has him at number 1.
Okay.
Number 2, Will Johnson, the cornerback, goes to Arizona. He was a top 15 selection if he wasn't hurt.
I love Will Johnson.
And so he puts him at number 2.
I love Will Johnson. But I wouldn't have had, I would be a bad GM because I wouldn't have the guts to pick him.
Right.
Because of the injury situation. And I wouldn't have the guts probably to go and make the selection Howie Roseman did because of injury.
Because of injury.
I would have wimped out.
Now he has Ashton Genty as number 3 to the Raiders.
He's a hell of a player.
He is a hell of a player. They got a lot of things they need to fix.
Okay, but the thing is, though, imagine that you're Pete Carroll. And how does Pete Carroll want to win? And for Pete Carroll,
understood.
control the ball, time of possession.
Yeah, with Geno Smith.
Yeah.
But the defense was already elite.
Geno Smith has been a top 12 quarterback in the NFL for a while.
He stinks.
They had an elite defense, though, when they had Marshawn, and they were able to win. Now you just have Ashton Genty and no defense besides Max Crosby.
Besides Max.
All right, so just to round this out, he has the selection of Ty Robinson at 37. So a 4th-round pick he has as the 37th best value draft pick.
Here's the only thing with the Ty Robinson pick. And it's something that I was reading about from Nebraska coverage.
Okay.
Is that he really will, by the end of his first contract, he's going to be 28.
Oh, a little older. Okay.
And so it is like one of those guys that...
Oh, maybe that's why he fell to the 4th round.
And it very well probably is.
He has Andrew Makuba's selection at 61. So right around the spot he was drafted.
Okay, so 3 guys in the top 61.
And then he had one more. Here he goes. Smile Mondon, the linebacker.
Smile's fantastic.
He has him at 87.
Okay.
5th-round pick.
Fans are going to like him, and he is... and I'm saying this with all the respect in the world, he is a much better prospect to me than Trotter Jr. As far as closer to contributing.
Yeah.
But that's just my 2 eyes.
All right. Coming up next, we'll reset today's topics. How have your viewership and following of sports changed? We'll get into more topics on this throughout the 8 o'clock hour, but we'll reset what we've talked about so far. And we want to hear from you. 610-632-0975. Don't forget, Wendy's gift card number 2 will go out the door during the next segment. Another $50 Wendy's gift card up for grabs. We'll give you the note of the show question next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Phillies win with the long ball. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update, and it's brought to you by Wendy's. With Wendy's Breakfast 2 for 3 biggie bundles, you can choose the pair you want at participating U.S. Wendy's. The Phillies won the second game of their 3-game series with the Washington Nationals last night by a score of 7-2. The win gives them back-to-back series wins. Christopher Sanchez was on the mound last night for the Phils after an early exit last week in his last start due to forearm tightness. Sanchez went 5 innings. He struck out 6. He allowed 2 runs. At the plate, the Phillies went deep 3 times times, including home runs from JT Realmuto, Max Kepler, and a 3-run bomb from Kyle Schwarber. The Phils go for the series sweep tonight against the Nationals. Taijuan Walker's going to be on the mound. First pitch is at 6:45. The Eagles made some offseason news yesterday when the team picked up the 5th-year option for defensive tackle Jordan Davis. Dave Zangaro from NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the afternoon show yesterday, and he said, well, that move adds up.
I think it makes sense. You keep him around now through 2026, and you're still hoping that he can reach that full potential. The Eagles are still bullish on Jordan Davis.
With May officially here, the next thing on the NFL agenda is the schedule release that comes out May 14th. This update was also brought to you by Robert Half. Their recruiters' expertise and award-winning AI will find you the skilled candidates you want for your job. At Robert Half, they know talent. Visit roberthalf.com/talent today. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the Truist Championship, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
.97.5 The Fanatic. All right, question number 2 for the next $50 Wendy's gift card.
And the Wendy's was delicious, boys?
Yeah, fantastic. I had the bacon, egg, and cheese burrito, man.
I think I got the breakfast baconator, dude. It's got the sausage patty and the bacon on it.
That's just
I unpacked everything for everybody, and I did not partake.
That's good
'cause
work
I'm
by
trying
you,
to-
man.
I'm trying to get it down even more.
That's good work by you.
Working hard.
All right, so our
Wendy's
next
is great, though.
Know the Show question.
Yes.
The over-under the Philadelphia Eagles is 610-632-0975.
Now, that's a great question.
You happier with that one?
That's a great question.
Unfortunately, our man Bruce, the answer of the first Know the Show question, is offended that you didn't care about his name.
It's messed up.
It's messed up, John.
Yeah.
So what's the Eagles over-under?
I understand, Alan and Mike, my people here. I understand what you're saying, but I'm just not listening to you.
Thanks a lot.
There you go.
Jimbo. $50 gift card to
Jimbo
Wendy's.
and Mike in the morning.
Wendy's
guy.
breakfast 2 for $3 biggie bundles lets you choose your perfect duo from your fave 4, including a sausage or egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee at participating U.S. Wendy's. All right, so here has been our talking point today to start the show. We've been talking about the Eagles this hour and the win total and the other teams that are going to be near the Eagles in terms of Vegas odds of over-unders for wins. But our main topic today to start was how your viewership of sports has changed or how your following of sports has changed. Some for the better, maybe some for the worse. We were talking about it earlier in the show at the very beginning about how there are a lot of fans that do the wake me up when the playoffs start mentality. When did that start? Was that because of leagues like the NBA telling you the regular season matters?
Yes.
It doesn't matter, I'm
No,
sorry?
it doesn't matter.
Is it because people are getting tired with 162 games? Like, if you were to lower that number, I think that would be better for the sport of baseball.
No, it's because of the fact that you have athletes today, and the NBA is the biggest culprit, and the NHL doesn't have it. The NHL doesn't do it. That the athletes just say, we don't care. We don't care about our consumers. We don't care about our fans. We literally are going to decide, you tell us we're playing 82 games, we're playing 70. We're playing 68. We don't care.
Right.
And they don't care about their consumers. They've lost faith. And the consumers, that's why they care a lot less about them. That's why TV ratings for the NBA are way down.
Yeah, and
That's why every NBA game on Christmas Day didn't equal one of the NFL games played.
And it's funny, last night after the Lakers were eliminated from playoff contention, J.J. Redick was trotting out the old Sixers excuse of, well, we only played 13 games together as a team. Well, whose fault is that? LeBron does load management, and the league allows it. And so then that becomes your excuse as a head coach, whether that might be a fair excuse or not, or a reason or not. The league has allowed this to happen, and that's why you see in the early parts of the playoffs, the teams that are normally higher seeds are the teams that win. Now, obviously, the Timberwolves were the lower seed in this case, but, Johnny, it's unfortunate that it is this way, that you can come up with an excuse of, well, we only had our starters play together like 20 times this season. Well, it's because you have allowed it. Unless it's legitimate injury, you have allowed your teams to not get full time together because load management is just a part of the game nowadays.
It's Commissioner Silver, and he's terrible. He's been absolutely terrible for the NBA.
They were trending in such a good direction, and then it just fell apart.
It's like when Gary Bettman took over the NHL. Gary Bettman, I wouldn't hire him for the dog poop app to walk my dog. I wouldn't. He's a bad commissioner. It's bad.
You're listening.
It's bad.
You're listening to 97.5 The Fanatic, WPEN and WPN HD1 Burlington, Philadelphia, Beasley Media Group station, broadcasting live from the Comcast Business Studio, powering possibilities. We've also talked about how gambling has changed our viewership for sports. Have you found yourself watching more non-Philadelphia games? Forget football, because football's football. Like, you're watching Thursday night regardless of who's playing. Have you, John Kincade, found yourself watching more random baseball games or basketball games or hockey games because you may have some action on it?
NFL always NFL.
Right, other than NFL. Yeah.
If you say other than NFL, NBA not, baseball yes. If you're talking like we keep it to like the last 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Baseball yes, NBA not, NHL not. But what I was just telling you the other day, during the playoffs, NHL, yes. NBA, yes.
Yeah, you're locked in. Right.
Like it's not. Well, no, not. I wouldn't say locked in, but I am absolutely knowing. Like I know what games are on tonight. I know that I really, really want Dallas to knock off Colorado tonight to help the Flyers. So I'm like, okay, let's have the Avs go down tonight.
And I need
That's
the Clippers to force a Game 7 because we have a breakfast bet on this series.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one.
I need the Clippers to bounce back.
I like that one. I got betting against James Harden is going to just be it honestly is a way if right now if you're a young man and you're looking to build that 401k, Dan White and Associates will help you plan for your retirement. But just betting that somehow James Harden's not going to come up big, that's sort of a real way you can just bet and secure your future.
Now, he has had a very good series up until this past game.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, when the games get tough.
Still should have kept them.
The biggest
Still should have kept them. Still should have kept them.
Biggest games.
I will not go off that point.
I will tell you this. It was the most interesting time of the Embiid era to me.
Best point guard he's ever played with.
Until they both totally wussied out.
Oh, yeah, that's
against
inexcusable.
The Celtics. And then both failed to show up for Game 7 in Boston.
Yeah,
like a bunch of gutless cowards.
But I would have welcomed back James Harden with open arms, and I was the crazy one for saying it.
Would have had to have open arms.
Yeah, well, at least the guy's still balling.
No, he's there.
All right, let's give out some cash.
The Fanatic signing bonus.
All right, your chance to win $1,000 right now. You could put it in your savings account.
Whoa.
Keyword today, savings. How about that?
Wow, how about that?
SAVINGS. Text the word savings to 45911, or you can enter it on the Fanatic mobile app or 975thefanatic.com. You have until 8:25 to do so. One random entry wins $1,000 in this company-wide contest. Each winner will get a call from Beasley, so be sure to answer your phone. Contest rules at 975thefanatic.com. The Fanatic signing bonus is sponsored by Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia, voted best casino in PA by Casino Player Magazine.
Can we just say, too, a quick one today because it is our friend Jamie Frankel's last day today?
Oh, I didn't realize today was the last.
One of our favorites around here at the Fanatic, Jamie Frankel, going on to a new challenge. And we love you, Jamie, and we will miss you around here.
Gonna miss her a lot.
Miss you around here.
She has been very big for my career. And I always have fresh breath because I steal her mints every single day.
Yes, exactly. Now,
that's the most important thing.
I hope she will still be coming by to drop them off.
Yeah, I need those mints.
I don't know if that's part of her exit strategy or not.
After 2 cups of coffee,
exactly.
You need the minty freshness.
Yeah, sometimes I appreciate that when you do that before post-show headlines.
Yeah, when we're right next to each other. I get it. All right, what do we got on the text line, Gunner, about today's topic?
Yeah, we got Dennis in D.C. checking in. Says, ever since COVID, I'll never take sports for granted again. I watch everything.
I wonder how much that's a factor. That's actually a great point. We lost sports. Like, think about that for a second. Forget your beliefs on the thing. Just think about the fact that we did not have sports. I was watching Korean baseball at 5 o'clock in the morning just to get my fix of sports. We lost it. I had to do a Saturday morning shift here for 4 hours.
Dude, are you
to noon.
Are you seriously going to look at me? I had to do 20 hours a week during COVID. Now, the thing, and we did COVID differently. We were in different places doing COVID. We were doing COVID where my life went on.
But sports still froze.
Sports did not. It was our own Haley. That's when she became a gambling addict. She's betting on Russian table tennis.
Yeah.
She would wake up to watch it and bet on it during that. I thought it was the most. I've lived through cancer 3 times. I think it was maybe the most horrifying time of my life.
Just not knowing what to do.
No, I thought it was horrifying for society.
Oh,
I thought the whole thing was a horrifying time, and the sports was a part of the withdrawal of it because I felt the connection to people was lost. And doing a job every day where we talk, it was unbelievable.
Well, and you have your buddies who you only talk sports with, right?
Yes.
You're amazed that I have friends that aren't really big into sports.
Yeah, I don't understand. I sort of don't understand that because I can't think of one. My wife laughs because she'll say, did you ask Tom, like my brother and I? She'll go, did you ask your brother about this? And I'll go, no. She goes, what did you two talk about?
The Phillies.
The Phillies and then the Eagles and everything like that. And she goes, do you two talk about anything that's important? And I'm like, no. my brother and I do not get into deep conversations
Right.
almost about anything. And she goes, but he's your brother and you love him. And I'm like, I do. But we don't get into deep conversations. It's not what we do.
And then you lost sports.
She laughs when I'll come back from playing golf. So, like my buddy Joe, my godson Andrew gets married in a couple weeks in Italy. And so and all that's getting ready. So what did Joe tell you about the wedding preparations and everything? And I said, not much.
No, he was ripping Jordan Romano.
What'd you guys talk about? Phillies bullpen and everything like that. She goes, are you serious? Your godson's getting married in a couple weeks. And I'm like, we're not talking about that on the golf course.
No.
Guys are not talking about like things. Did he tell you what Liz is doing for this? Like, I'm like, no, he didn't.
Talking about the Eagles.
We don't talk about our wives on the golf course either. It's our 4 hours away from our wives. We're not talking about them.
You need to be in the right headspace playing golf.
She doesn't understand. She never grasps it. We've been married for almost a quarter of a century. She still doesn't grasp.
Being dudes.
You guys don't talk about anything of substance. And I'm like, that's it.
Yeah.
That's why guys get along so much better than women.
And that's why
guys have longer, nicer relationships than women.
And that's why COVID freaking sucked, man.
That's why it is.
By the way, I will forever be so thankful for The Last Dance.
I that was a big one.
Like those 10 Sundays. And Christy watched because what else? What else were you doing? Those 10 Sundays watching The Last Dance was like the best 10 Sundays I had during COVID. Because what else were you going to have to freaking do? Mm-hmm. Now, we lived in Manioc, so there's a lot of things to do. So that was still fun. Anyways, coming up next, we have today's headlines with our man Brendan Gunn. We'll sneak in a text message on today's topic as well. Headlines next, Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Connor Thomas.
It's crazy. They had so many picks to use, but instead of saying...
viewership and your following of sports changed? Another interesting angle. You've always followed the rule of not checking the standings until what? Memorial Day? Major League Baseball?
I know what the standings are.
Right.
It's more of I don't pay attention to the standings till Memorial Day. Like, I know. In fact, it's weird because the maniacal spread out earlier because I updated it from last night's games. So I can look at the schedules ahead. But, I know what the standings are. But I need a sample size to be able to. I enjoyed statistics class a lot. I enjoyed that stuff. It's like, and I hated
Why you
other
call
math.
yourself nerd boy?
And I hated other math so badly.
Right.
Like any math that had a letter in it. When they started adding letters to math,
that's the worst.
I couldn't do it. But I know where the Phillies sit,
right.
And I know how bad. But I'm looking at it and I'm saying, I'll wait till Memorial Day.
But I think now, especially after 10 years of a playoff drought where people just stopped watching the Phillies, and I know it's been a couple years now since they've been back, people do handle it like football season. Like, that's changed.
They do.
The everyday dying on a pitch.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know when that started, and I don't know if it happens in other cities. It may. I'm not entirely sure.
It happens.
I do wonder if the gambling aspect is a big part of that.
It has always happened in Atlanta.
Okay.
I can tell you.
The living and dying on every pitch.
But I think it's because, too, for them, the Braves have always been the Eagles to us.
Okay, fair.
The Braves are the Eagles to them. So it has always meant. Whereas the Falcons have been like a constant frustration.
Right.
And a constant anger.
Well, they take a backseat to the college football.
Well, yeah, Georgia football's always the king, but the Braves have always been much more like we consume the Eagles.
Yeah.
They consume the Braves.
All right, it's time now for today's headlines with Brendan Gunn. The one and only.
Today's headlines with the one and only Brendan Gunn.
Brought to us by who?
The one and only Lundy Law. For over 70 years, Lundy Law has been fighting for injured people. If you need them, remember the name, Lundy Law, your injury lawyers. Visit LundyLaw.com. That's LundyLaw.com. And I was going to start this today with the Ranger Suarez coming back, the first official start over the weekend. But you guys brought up the Flyers earlier today, and it got me thinking. John didn't get to enjoy the Wendy's, so he's going to need something to get fired up this morning. What about Matvei Michkov appearing on some kind of Russian podcast, and it went viral yesterday? And it turns out he didn't have a mortal enemy in his former head coach, John Tortorella. He actually spoke candidly about his former coach. If you worked hard in practice, if you played hard for him, he trusted you. Turns out Matvei Michkov was a fan of John Tortorella the whole time.
Wow.
In fact, he said, this is where I was upset about it big time. Because, and by the way, I heard stuff on our own station that I spoke out about.
Yeah.
There was a lot of misinformation about the relationship between Michkov and him and John Tortorella. And Michkov never had a problem with John Tortorella. Even when he was being benched, never had a problem with John Tortorella. Admired John Tortorella, liked John Tortorella. John Tortorella went out of his way to really try to create some sort of a bond with this young man. And I thought there was a lot of misinformation about it. And the Torts is so mean and he's awful and everything. And it's like, yeah, well, there are other veteran players who didn't like John Tortorella.
Like Sean Couturier.
Like Sean Couturier, who ran to his agent when he got benched.
Yeah,
there are players who can't handle being a little tough love.
Listen, this is your sport. And
My gosh.
I rip the handling of coaches in your sport all the time. Like
Yes.
a guy can go through an entire camp like Peter Laviolette and then get fired 3 games into a season.
Which is stupid.
And it's like, what? You just went through an entire camp. You built out your plans. Think of training camp in football, and you come up with offensive philosophies, defensive game planning, and then you fire the coach 3 games in the season. That happens in your sport, and I don't understand it, Johnny. I really don't.
It's stupid.
But this is something that's funny. It's always the coach's fault, not the player. How come Sean Couturier being a bit of a baby?
A bit of a baby?
Being a bit of a baby is the problem, and that's not the problem. It's the head coach is too harsh on him.
I like Sean Couturier saying at the end of the year, at his end of the year press comments, I just try to keep things professional. I mean, no, you didn't. You run to your freaking agent.
To put out reports.
Like, seriously,
yeah.
come on, give me a freaking break. Look, John Tortorella had many flaws
Absolutely.
over his career in interpersonal relationships he did. He was a great foundational coach for Matvei Michkov. He finished 18 points ahead of the projection of his rookie scoring.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
And then I had some guy yesterday go to me yesterday, imagine if he had a really good coach to be able to. I'm like, you're freaking stupid.
Yeah.
At that point, you're just stupid.
Well, we'll see. Hopefully next year the Flyers are playing in May.
I think it's going to have a chance, and they're already interviewing candidates.
And Hockey Haley's second home out there in St. Louis, they are playing hockey right now.
Yes.
But maybe some kids are not playing basketball in their driveway anymore. A story that went viral on the internet yesterday. A family out in St. Louis put up a basketball hoop, and the neighbors didn't like it, that it was too close to their house. The zoning people said that it's good where it is. And now the neighbors are suing the family for the basketball hoop being too close.
Wait a minute, it's in their driveway?
It's in their personal driveway. And here is the NBC 11 short clip on it out from St. Louis.
A St. Louis Park family is getting sued by their next-door neighbor over where their basketball hoop is located. Lily Moding and her husband have two boys who like to unwind by shooting hoops in their front yard. But their neighbors pointed out the pole was too close to the property line. So the Modings moved it, but that wasn't good enough.
My kitchen window is right there. I have to watch them. I don't want to have to watch them.
Julia Ramos even filed a restraining order against Ross Moding, saying he was harassing her by trespassing and retrieving balls from their yard. The Ramoses are now suing the Moding family and the city of St. Louis Park.
Now, wait a minute. Now, she may have a thing about
the ball going on
running into the yard all the time. Now, here's what I would say.
Harassing, though?
But here's what I would say. I would absolutely bring a pickup game to my driveway.
I'd bring fans.
I would
have
this.
fans.
I would take this Karen and I would take her out. I would have my buddies from high school over, and without breaking noise ordinances.
Yeah.
But I would have more shooting in my driveway.
And oh, by the way, John, I'm watching the Fox 9 video.
Okay.
The kids are not even 10 years old. So it's these two kids that are just enjoying.
They're just shooting hoops?
And this horrible, wretched woman.
And how old is this woman? Like 40 maybe?
I don't know, but
she sounds like she's 40.
I don't want to have to see them out of my kitchen window. Look out another window then.
I got to tell you.
Put some curtains up.
If you'd say to me on my deathbed, number one sounds that I love to hear.
The basketball hoop in the background.
I love hearing kids at play. Kids playing in the street, kids playing in the yard, kids running around. Like to me, that is a comforting feeling of like, okay, that brings me back to my childhood where in our neighborhood, we were always in the street, always playing, always doing stuff. That's a comforting feeling of kids are safe, kids are having a great time.
Yeah, go move to a retirement-only neighborhood if you don't want to hear kids playing around.
Dude, this woman sucks because here's the deal. She's
an awful person.
She eventually got to the ball retrieving in her yard. Okay. But at first it was, I don't want to have to see them out my kitchen window.
Well, that's disgraceful.
Then you know what? Go into solitary confinement and sketch how many days you've been sitting in there and how many days you have sucked on this planet.
That's incredible to me.
Oh, man.
I hate that. Because,
that's an awful person.
And that, you know what? That same person, I bet you, these kids these days are always on their iPads. I bet you she would say the exact same thing.
No, I think she'd buy them iPads. And say, go inside.
Like you said, I love seeing the kids outside. It's great.
I love seeing kids at play. I think it's awesome. And to me, when I'm the guy who says, get them off their asses and get outside and play. Get out and play. Wow. And our kid was not allowed to have all that screen time.
Yeah.
It was do something. Go do something.
You know how
don't sit and watch. Get your head out of the iPad.
You know how a couple of weeks ago I told you about a story at the event I had where the woman wasn't too friendly.
Yeah, she was
and
awful.
You had the email, and the guy was like, maybe you shouldn't talk about other people's wives that way. I will gladly talk about this person.
Oh, she's evil.
This person sucks.
It's terrible.
Not wanting kids to play basketball. I don't want to see him out my window. Yeah, house got one window?
Well, she's at her kitchen window, and she's doing her dishes.
God.
And she has to see kids.
Coming up next, good job, Brendan. As we get back to our main topic this morning about how much our viewership and following of sports has changed, how much has the access to teams and players and their livelihood helped or hurt? Did not knowing certain things help back in the day? It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update. update.
Phillies win with the long ball. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update, and it's brought to you by Wendy's. With Wendy's Breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles, you can choose the pair you want at participating U.S. Wendy's. The Phillies won the second game of their 3-game series last night with the Washington Nationals by a score of 7-2. With the win, they have back-to-back series wins. Christopher Sanchez was on the mound last night for the Phils after an early exit in his last start last Thursday due to forearm tightness. Last night, though, Sanchez went 5 innings. He struck out 6 and he allowed 2 runs. At the plate, the Phillies went deep 3 times, including home runs from JT Realmuto, Max Kepler, and a 3-run bomb from Kyle Schwarber. The Phillies go for the sweep tonight against the Nationals. Taijuan Walker's on the mound. First pitch is at 6:45. The Eagles made some offseason news yesterday when the team picked up the 5th-year option for defensive tackle Jordan Davis. Dave Zangaro from NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the afternoon show yesterday, and he said, well, that move adds up.
I think it makes sense. You keep him around now through 2026, and you're still hoping that he can reach that full potential. The Eagles are still bullish on Jordan Davis.
Next up on the NFL agenda, that would be the schedule release coming up on May 14th. This update was brought to you by Mattress Firm. Get matched and sleep at night during the Mattress Firm's Upgrade Your Sleep sale. Take 120 nights to love your new bed or your money back. Restrictions apply. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the Truist Championship, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
97.5 The Fanatic and live casino.
Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. You know, during the commercial break, I just you scroll through social media.
Okay.
And I saw
you see?
I saw another one of these prank phone calls from the NFL draft.
Who did it?
I don't know, just another kid who prank phone called Isaiah Bond, who is a wide receiver from Alabama who went undrafted. And so he thinks he's getting drafted from a prank phone call, and he ends up going undrafted. And it's just like,
okay, that's terrible.
You've said it numerous times. You're right. These are people that have, never been punched in the face before.
And more importantly, too, is that I guarantee you that they're prank calling somebody that they're far less successful than.
Absolutely.
And that's horrible.
Now, here's the weird thing.
You little turd.
Why put this stuff on social media?
Because you know why?
For clout.
No. When you were growing up, in your wheelhouse,
MySpace, baby.
It was Jackass.
Oh, yeah.
And that stupid guy from Westchester that I've run into a few times.
Bam.
Yes. Ran into him multiple times. Like running around. Like being famous for being a jackass.
Yeah.
And so that became a thing. It wasn't a thing. When I was growing up, that wasn't a thing. That wasn't something that people were like, yeah, that's what I want to be famous for. And now it is. So that's part of it.
But
so
when this kid eventually doesn't get a job in whatever, being a jackass, right? And they just search his social media. Like, you can only scrub so much. Because here's the deal, you could scrub an old tweet. But once a video goes viral like this, where all the aggregators are putting it out there, what does that do for the kid?
Well, it could destroy your future.
That's what I'm saying.
And I can't say that I'm upset that if it happens.
No, me neither. By the way, yesterday...
because if you're that hateful, like honestly, I'm not going to root for you to have any success.
Yeah, I get it. Yesterday, Jeff Ulbrich, the defensive coordinator of the Falcons, whose son Jax was the one that got the number for Shedeur Sanders, and they made the prank phone call. He spoke to the media yesterday. I listened to it was like a 4.5 minute long press conference. You could tell he is not happy with his son.
Well, he lost $100,000.
Yes.
And I heard Mike Missanelli say it. My kid would absolutely be paying that $100,000. I would not be paying it. So if my kid got if I get a $100,000 fine because of something my kid did, my kid's paying the $100,000 fine.
Where's a 21-year-old still prank calling people getting $100,000 from?
No, well, guess what? That kid
over time.
That kid needs another year of college. By the way, he has another year of college left. There is zero chance.
Yeah, you're paying for
that.
You're not paying for that.
That I'm stroking a check
not paying
for that.
your frat dues with your bros that were just with you prank calling people.
Your apartment, your frat house dues, anything like that. There's zero chance you're getting a dime out of me. Go work for a living. Go try to. If you think you're such a chucklehead.
If I'm the guy that eventually hires him or he comes in and interviews at my place, if I'm ever, a boss, whatever, I'm prank calling that kid and saying you got the job.
Oh, that's
Psych,
great.
And hanging up on him.
What a jerk. Like that. You're a bad-hearted person.
And he's not 14. Like, I get it. If a 14-year-old did it, like, obviously you're still smacking him upside the head if you're the parent. But, like, a 21-year-old?
Worse yet, he's an entitled little...
If it was a 14-year-old, I don't think the Falcons get fined. I don't think the coach gets fined. It's a grown man.
Dude, he runs... And these kids... Being around, like, not only that organization, but being around these coaches' kids, I would see them every summer.
Right.
They lead very entitled lives. Like, they're like, they're driving nice cars. Oh, they get, if one of their kids wants to get an internship with the coaching staff, they've got one.
That's what I mean. The NFL should ban him.
They led very little. Oh, he would never be in my facility again.
Like, you should be banned. You like, coaches and that kind of thing, they hire their sons all the time. Like, I would say you're banned. Jax.
By the way, there was a thing, my buddy Dan from Westchester Country Club sends out a note. He said they had the same thing in Chester County last year. There was a court case. An old lady sued their next-door neighbor with 2 young kids for shooting hoops.
Oh, my God. What is wrong with you people? Let kids play sports. Let kids be outside.
Now, Dan, I understand, maybe got sued for some errant tee shots over the years.
They're the people that, like, you know what? Shout out to the Kogels.
They were your next door neighbors?
They were my next door neighbors, and I played wiffle ball, and we would hit. The tree line in between our houses was the home run fence.
Okay.
I can't tell you how many wiffle balls went in their yard, and they never said a damn thing, and they would kindly return it, because we didn't want to walk on their property, and they would kindly return it.
All right.
That's just that should just be normalcy.
Okay, wait a minute though. They didn't want you to walk on their property, or you did
Respect
your parents?
thing, I'm
Did your
sure.
parents say,
it was a respect thing.
like Betty?
No, because I was just raised right. Like that's
no,
that's
I
all,
got you. But like my mom lived in the same house from 1951 till 2018.
Yeah.
And there would be little kids at times that would be like running in her yard or whatever like that. My mom didn't give a damn.
Well, yeah, I mean, look, if it was
because you know what she did? She knows that her kids played in the street and played in the yard.
If it was just beyond the tree line, but when I was hitting, they went way past the tree line.
Did you play in the now? Did
Gone
you
down
play
over there
on your street? Did you guys play in the street?
I grew up in a cul-de-sac, so I was blessed.
Yeah, you're
to
cold.
be able to do that.
You know what? Mike Missanelli is right on you a little bit.
What?
You do a little bit of silver spoonish.
No.
He's a culde-de-sac kid.
Trust me, I'm not silver spoonish.
Little cul-de-sac kid. We
Trust
played
me.
on South Mellon Road.
Oh, by the way, when did Mike call me silver spoonish?
Oh, he's talked about that with the Jersey upbringing. You and Bill.
No.
You and Bill
he
both
rips
being the-
Bill for the hockey white
No,
jersey
I got you.
guy.
No, but the South Jersey.
Because I'm not a big hockey guy.
But
I'm more of a
cul-de-sac
hoop
kids.
guy.
We had on South Mellon Road. We had our house sat between two stop signs. So you literally would have to stop coming down the street from Westchester Pike or coming up the street from Springfield Road, and in the middle. And then Franklin Avenue ran right down here. We would play our street hockey games right there.
Oh yeah, he did.
Well, we would play in the street all the time. Well, Mr. Winkowski, God rest his soul, he was awesome. Loved the neighbor. But Mr. Winkowski hated it because in the late 70s they put in the stop signs. He refused to stop for them.
Oh my God!
So you know how you move the hockey
I'm not
nets?
stopping
No,
it.
Mr.
Frogger with the
Winkowski. You know how
kids.
you move the hockey nets?
Yeah, whenever a
when you
car
play
came.
street hockey.
Yeah.
When Mr. Winkowski would come down the hill, you knew he wasn't stopping. So literally, he would either swerve around it, swerve at it. He was not stopping.
Red lights, stop signs, kids. I ain't stopping for nothing.
And we loved Mr. Winkowski. But if he was not stopping for a hockey game, so you knew, and you had you better watch because here it comes. Here comes like the
Yeah,
Buick.
but what if you had a breakaway?
Here comes the Buick down the hill. No, you were diving for the sidewalk when Mr. Winkowski came.
Zamboni.
He was unbelievable. But it was a different day and age, and no parents.
I think you had to follow stop signs back then too.
He refused because he said he bought his house. There were no stop signs.
He was grandfathered in.
No, he said, that's what he said. That's what he said. We loved Mr. Winkowski, though.
All right.
And Betty, his lovely wife, and his family.
How has access helped or hurt your viewership or following of sports? Because let's face it, back in the day, players were loved when maybe they shouldn't have been. And I also believe that in today's day and age, there are players that are hated that shouldn't be.
We saw it just this week, didn't we?
Yes, we did. So we'll talk about all this stuff coming up next. And to start the 9 o'clock hour, I'm really excited for this because in terms of how everything has changed, when you see a kid, though, watching sports, it just reminds you of what it used to be for you. And the moment Tuesday night at the Phillies game with the fan that was watching Jose Alvarado pitch, just so pure.
It's awesome.
And the stories that came out, I believe Alex Coffey wrote a great piece on it. Just wonderful. We'll get into that coming up in the 9 o'clock hour. But how has access changed how we watch and view sports? It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Philadelphia Union Soccer.
One on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Don't forget our third $50 Wendy's gift card will be going out the window at some point this hour when we play Know the Show. And then the 9 o'clock hour, we're going to have a different spin on how you can win the $50 Wendy's gift card. Today's topic has been about how our viewership and following of sports has changed. Some for the better, some for the worse. And it's not just actually sitting down and watching a game. Following obviously can also mean social media. And so following sports now, you have so much more access than ever before, right? The highlights that you can watch, the post-game press conferences that you can watch. Like last night, J.J. Redick storming off his press conference because he was asked about how horrible of a job he did in the fourth quarters during this series because he is the smartest man in the room and a backstabber of Philadelphia, and yet a lot of you gave him a standing ovation. He stormed off because he didn't like the questioning. But anyways, I got to watch that during a commercial break because it's on there.
Right.
It's on social media. So how much has the access to athletes and teams and everything added to your viewership, enjoyment, lack of enjoyment when it comes to these players, coaches, you name it? Because, John, you've told this story a couple of times. We even got into it just yesterday about, like, the 93 Phillies and how they may not, even though some of them may be good guys now.
No, like I can tell you this. Having to put a microphone, and I was probably of the 81 home games, I probably was in the clubhouse 64 of them, 65 of them. And Dave Hollins, just to mention Dave was one of the worst people to stick a microphone in his face in history.
Yeah.
That I ever did that to an athlete. And Dave Hollins, who I've gotten to see at golf tournaments like the Darren Dalton Foundation, is one of the best people you could ever deal with.
Yeah, when you told me that story, because I wasn't alive for the 93 Phillies, like, I've talked to him through doing this. He's a wonderful person.
He's fantastic. He was not in his playing days.
Yeah.
He was not. That whole team, as a whole, collective group, was the worst clubhouse, locker room I have ever been in, and it is not even close.
Yeah.
The worst people, like, even collectively among them, the worst collective group of people I've ever seen. And it's not close. They were not nice to people. They were I saw awful behavior. It was bad.
And you can't get away with that now.
But nowadays, it would just, there was the manager of that club who literally said people who listen to the local sports radio are effing their sisters in South Philly.
Oh my God.
So they fed off the man in charge.
Yeah.
Who literally was saying, like, they were just a nasty group. And today, you couldn't get away with it.
No.
Because today, there would be cell phones.
Look, think about this for a second. Orlando Arcia saying "Attaboy Harper"
became an
a story.
Thing. And back then, it was not the same.
Right.
And so it would have been, and back then...
It was sacred in the clubhouse
back then, you would have been physically assaulted if you ever let it be known.
And by the way, Orlando Arcia, you can talk, you still follow the people in Atlanta. I don't think he's like the Braves' favorite player anymore.
No, he never was.
Right.
He never was.
But I'm sure that didn't help.
Oh, no. It created an
Because you can now use him as a scapegoat for the reason why the Phillies ended up winning that series because of that moment.
Oh, no. They're still, he's still with fans who's still got stuff,
right,
against him on that. Is that we saw it this past week. We saw people so absolutely ingrained in their idea of politics is life.
Right.
Politics is life. That they can't fathom that a guy that they were just worshiping, Saquon Barkley, may have a different idea. And by the way, I'm just going to tell you, there may be some severe disinformation out there. Like where Saquon leans politically.
Right.
Things like that. People don't have to be, because there are some people who are actually adults who can have conversation with people, have relationships with people who don't agree with them politically.
Right.
And there also may be some real misinformation about, like, people who didn't attend the White House visit. That some people were out of the country on vacations that had been booked.
Right.
They didn't make a political statement. They had booked vacations and were not physically even, they were out of the country or on vacations. Could have even been maybe a honeymoon. But people read into it because they're politically obsessed. We didn't care back in the day. We didn't care. I never knew. I didn't care. No one gave a damn. I wonder how Ron Jaworski votes.
Right.
Boy, I wonder. And then it's a different society we live in today because everything is public.
And that's changed sports. And that's the other thing.
And it's changed people's
public nature. I wonder, there are athletes that love social media to the point where it has impacted them. We've talked about A.J. Brown, Jalen Reagor, Miles Sanders. Who was DMing somebody during the game? Was it Kenneth Gainwell?
Kenny G. What? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
It was him. Yep.
And the guy said horrible things to him.
Yes.
But he's in the middle of the game or at halftime DMing with people. And it's that can't be good for somebody's psyche. It can't be.
No.
So how much has social media not only impacted our way of following teams and following players, how much has it impacted the athlete?
Yeah, I mean, you think back
Ben
to
Simmons.
the Steelers guy, he put up the damn playbook on his Instagram Live like a moron.
And boy, he really made friends with his head coach.
Laramie Tunsil's a top 5 pick if social media's not around.
Yes.
Or if it's 2025 and that stuff doesn't matter anymore.
What I would say, though, is even before social media, Dan Marino dropped in the draft because the word got out that he smoked weed.
Okay.
And Warren Sapp also.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Same type of things, and it slipped down there. And Mike Mamula was drafted. So, I mean, things like that did happen.
Yeah.
But it's much different today. People are now, oh, I hate that guy. I'm telling you this. There are, and I can speak from fact, there are, just the political discussion of this past week, there are athletes in this town that people think they know where they lean politically, and they're wrong. They're wrong. They're absolutely wrong. I've read online, and people are wrong. And I'm like, people would lose their minds if they really knew. Or if they really knew how their favorite player, they don't have an idea. And because players don't have to share it.
No.
Some players are very quiet.
Yeah, some players are.
Some players are but you know what I do know is the Eagles locker room, they all know each other's politics. The Phillies locker room, they all know each other's politics.
Yeah.
And they all lived through an election year and a vicious election cycle, and it didn't affect either team.
Maybe that's why the Phillies have a slow start this year, Johnny.
Could be. It's after the election. Yeah, it could be.
All right, coming up next, a beautiful moment from the Phillies game Tuesday night, which should be a reminder of what sports was like when you were growing up, regardless of your era in which you grew up in. The purity of just being a sports fan is something I do truly miss. And we'll talk more about this coming up next. Also, we'll give you our third Know the Show question for the $50 Wendy's gift card here on Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
Back-to-back series wins for the Phils. I'm Brendan Gunn with your Fanatic Sports Update. The Phillies won the second game of their 3-game series with the Washington Nationals last night by a score of 7-2. The win gives them back-to-back series wins. Christopher Sanchez was on the mound for the Phils last night after exiting early last Thursday night due to forearm tightness. Sanchez last night, though, he went 5 innings, struck out 6, allowed 2 runs. At the plate, the Phillies went deep 3 times, including home runs from JT Realmuto, Max Kepler, and a 3-run bomb from Kyle Schwarber. The Phils go for the sweep against the Nationals tonight. Taijuan Walker's going to be on the mound, and first pitch is at 6:45. The Eagles made offseason news yesterday when the team picked up the 5th-year option of defensive tackle Jordan Davis. Dave Zangaro from NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the afternoon show yesterday and said that move, well, it adds up.
I think it makes sense. You keep him around now through 2026, and you're still hoping that he can reach that full potential. The Eagles are still bullish on Jordan Davis.
With May officially here today, May 1st, next on the NFL agenda is 2 weeks from now, May 14th. The NFL schedule release is officially upon us. This update was brought to you by Wendy's with Wendy's Breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles. You can choose the pair you want at participating U.S. Wendy's. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the truest championship, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Philadelphia Sports.
Touchdown!
Bill Colarulo during the commercial break. Obviously, coming your way at 10 o'clock, the Mike Missanelli Show with Bill and the great Ray Dunn. All right, so Tuesday night, the Phillies, of course, won game one of their series against the Nationals. They're looking to sweep the Nationals today. And it was such a beautiful moment later on in the game when the Phillies had Jose Alvarado in the game, and he's trying to get out of the jam, right? And if you were watching the game, every once in a while, they would cut over to a kid who was imitating Jose Alvarado. His name is Princeton Bailey. He goes by Prince. And it was just such a beautiful moment because it just shows purity and enjoyment of a sport. Now, Prince is on the spectrum. And the beauty of this story is that when he watches sports, he has like an extrovert personality comes out of him, right? Because the story, by the way, great job by Alex Coffey on it, as always. She is tremendous. He's an introvert. And so when he's at sports, he's just locked in. Like he's locked into the game. He'll show his personality a little bit, doing that moment with the, imitating of Jose Alvarado. And it just reminded me of when I was a kid. And there's no betting apps, right? Like I'm not worried about over-unders or, FIPS, exit velos. It's just who has a hit today? Who doesn't have a hit? Did the Phillies win a baseball game?
Okay.
And it just makes me sometimes I wish I could just tap back into that mode. And I usually do that with like two random teams. Like I can do that and just watch a game and just enjoy it. Now the stresses of the Phillies and Eagles and Sixers and Flyers and content is a little bit different for me nowadays. But I saw that on Tuesday night, and I thought that was just beautiful. And like you guys mock me for the Little League World Series stuff. I get the dads.
No, we mock the parents.
Yeah, the dads.
And
I
their
get the parents.
behavior.
But the kids playing the game is what I love, right? Because they're not getting paid. Sure, they probably think it's awesome that they're on ESPN. Why wouldn't you think it would be cool to be on ESPN? Except when they're the one
who makes the error and cries and becomes the meme for the whole country. And the kid gets mocked.
It's the purity of the sport that makes me love watching it so much. And so that moment Tuesday night, just seeing a kid being a sports fan, just put a smile on my face, man.
Go read Alex Coffey's piece.
Yeah,
it's a really well done piece.
She's tremendous as always, but I just thought that was so cool on Tuesday.
I mean, dude, you still do it to this day. Oh, I'm doing the Clayton Kershaw wind-up today.
I'm a child. I am a child. I'm a 31-year-old child.
We've all done that, though, just like that kid did. It was a cool story. I noticed it live. I was like, all right, that's kind of funny. I used to do that back in the day, and then reading the story on top of that, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
I don't want to I can imagine. Can you imagine sitting next to young Connor? Connor Thomas, I could see doing this in the stand.
I'd strike that guy out.
Absolutely.
I could strike him out. Look, I'm doing the warm-up, Dad.
Yeah,
strike him out lefty.
The problem with 10-year-old Andrew was I was with my dad, and my dad was teaching me how to say bum. I was the Negadelphian.
See, that's incredible.
David Belly, you're a bum.
I would tell you this is that I do know from watching sports with my family that my father could, at the first incompletion by Ron Jaworski,
he sucks.
Be commenting on it.
Yeah.
My gosh, here we go again.
You guys have seen my Eagles negative tweets, like in the midst of it, but like
you're like a throwback Delco.
No, but then I'm sitting there watching the game with my dad. I'm like, how are you this negative?
Yeah, but you see where you got it from.
The thing is, though, you're throwback Delco, though.
Yeah, my dad.
You are much more like the guys I grew up with.
Yeah, the world's ending.
Yeah. The world is ending. It's over. Oh, my gosh.
My dad sends me 10 texts in the first quarter. Defense sucks. The number one ranked defense in the NFL. They stink.
Frauds.
They can't get a stop.
Haven't played anybody good yet.
All right. Know the show question number 3 for the $50 Wendy's gift card.
We're laughing, but we're not laughing.
Because it's true.
It's unbelievable.
The woman in the story, this wretched witch that Brendan told us about during today's headlines earlier this morning.
And not the girl in Delco.
No. That's not witch. That's Psycho gross behavior. The woman that is suing her neighbor because, God forbid, her kids play basketball. Where are they from? The first person to get it right at 610-632-0975 will win the $50 Wendy's gift card. Wendy's breakfast, 2 for $3 Biggie bundles lets you choose your perfect duo from your fave 4, including a sausage or egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee at participating U.S. Wendy's. Now, here's the deal. During the final hour, we will not play Know the Show for the fourth and final $50 Wendy's gift card for this Thursday's show of Kincade and Salciunas. Wendy's is back. We love it.
You love it. First one.
So yesterday, Brendan, during post-show headlines, which you can watch on YouTube every single day, today we got one of our listener sent-in questions segment on post-show headlines. Just go to YouTube, search Kincade and Salciunas post-show headlines, and they'll pop up for you. Like, subscribe. Thank you. I saw a random tweet earlier in the week, and I brought it up on post-show headlines, which the discussion was so great we wanted to bring it to the actual show.
Uh-oh.
And usually post-show headlines is like the off-the-wall stuff, the zany stuff that we are obviously focused when it comes to the Eagles and the Phillies on this show, but we wanted to have some fun with it. So I saw a tweet from some random guy that had a photo of the ice cream sandwich. Like just the OG chocolate wafer on each side, vanilla ice cream on the inside. And the tweet reads as follows. The ice cream sandwich is the Tim Duncan of ice cream. One of the greatest to ever do it, dependable, crazy numbers, but nothing flashy about his game.
Ice cream sandwich, Tim Duncan, that's the analogy.
So what we want to try to do from now until the end of the show is try to do other food to player, food to athlete analogies. And the best one,
it doesn't have to necessarily even be food. You could do it into another. Food is great.
Sure.
But you could do it into other analogies if you have something else.
Like Jimmy Butler would be Taco Bell. It's so good going in, and then it's fiery on the way out.
See, this is, wow.
Wait, that was,
wow.
That's what he
you,
did.
you win.
Like I said yesterday, to me, if you're talking about a Tim Duncan of like in the food, I asked Andrew, I challenged him on snacks.
Yeah.
I said snacks. I think the Cheez-It is the Tim Duncan of snacks. Like a Cheez-It is completely dependable, and I don't need any of the newfangled, like people with ADD that need 17 kinds of cheese.
I do like the white cheddar Cheez-It. They're delicious.
Of course you do.
They're delicious.
I'm sure they are. They're all over my finger. They're all waxy and powdery and everything.
So is the regular Cheez-It.
The Tim guess what? But that isn't Tim. The idea is that isn't Tim Duncan.
I got you.
The Tim Duncan is the standard. Just getting yourself a standard pack of cheese.
And beet is the plain potato chip. It's fine on its own, but you need to dress it up a little bit to make it better. But then eventually you get sick of all the dressings, and they don't end up at.
They also
anyway.
break constantly. I gave the Ritz cracker as the Tim Duncan because the Ritz cracker.
I think Ritz is delicious.
You can eat it on its own. You can pair it with Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker.
But a Ritz is a fancy cracker. So to me, it can't.
A Ritz is a fancy cracker.
A Ritz is a saltine is a cracker.
Grow up on the streets.
A Ritz is a saltine is a cracker.
No, a saltine's a poverty cracker. A Ritz is a normal cracker.
No. A Ritz was when they started to fancy up the cracker. You see,
but nowadays,
you're too young.
I remember going to the nurse and getting a saltine and a tongue and telling me I was fine.
Absolutely, because you were trying to fake out of that math test. That's what it is. The ice cream, if there's a, I'm trying to think. Okay, if you were to say a sportscaster,
okay,
think of all the sportscasters in your life. The Tim Duncan to me is Mike Tirico. Mike Tirico is the Tim Duncan of sportscasters to me. He can do golf. He can do basketball. He can do football.
Do it all.
He is never flashy. He is never, I'm Gus Johnson and all look at that completion. First completion of the game. The first catch of the game, Gus Johnson is trying to make it a Gus Johnson highlight reel. Mike Tirico never does that. To me, Mike Tirico is the Tim Duncan.
Tim
of
Duncan,
broadcasting.
he's the role. Never the most talked about thing, but the most important thing there.
You
Like,
do
if
need
the
a good
role
role. You can't have a bad. You can't have a,
So you're saying he's
a
the-
good sandwich, a
He's
bad
not
roll.
the Flash. He's not the ribeye. He's not the Cooper Sharp, the Whiz, the stuff everybody talks about. But he's the role.
Well,
he's
then
in
he's an ingredient. That makes him an ingredient, though.
No, he's the role.
No, but the thing is, though, he's more than an ingredient because then he's just an ingredient.
So here's
Because you don't
the
need
deal.
the roll by itself.
Here's the deal. It doesn't
Why
have to. Not every answer has to be Tim Duncan.
Or food.
Like what you had, Brendan with
Jimmy
the great
Butler.
one.
No, but
Jimmy
that's
Butler's
the idea, though. Is the Tim Duncan is that analogy, though, is a great one.
Yeah, but we can come up with other players, and it could be other compare. It doesn't have to be food, like you said. Like I'm sure somebody could come up with like the Honda of athletes because the Honda is a very dependable car, but it's not your flashy one. Right?
We got
It's not
somebody
your
checking in
Lamborghini.
already.
Okay, all right.
What do we got?
No name on this one, but Paul George is the gas station sushi. If you like sushi, it may seem appealing, but the second you buy it, you're going to regret it.
That's just that. This is what we need from you from now until the end of the show at 610-632-0975.
That's a great one.
Text in your
I was
answers.
thinking more the taquito.
I'm a big taquito guy.
You like stuff
taquito's
on rolls.
Taquito is LeBron James. All right.
Well, no, that's not
Age
dependable.
20, 30, 40, the LeBron James is taquito.
You know
Yeah,
what's
if it's a
dependable?
7-Eleven,
You know
you can
what's
let it out for
dependable?
20 years. It's still good.
Damn right.
You know what's dependable? LeBron pointing fingers at the press conference after the game when he's eliminated. That's what's dependable.
Taquito would never do that.
Without
He would
ever
never
pointing a
point it at
finger.
the smelly
Without
wings.
ever pointing a finger back. It's always point a finger out.
All right. So coming up next,
We got you, Luca.
I want to see text messages coming up next on this. Again, the best
This
one
is
from
funny.
now until the end of the show will win the final $50 Wendy's gift card. We'll end up calling you back because we do have your numbers once they get sent in. And we'll give you a call, and you'll get the $50 Wendy's gift card. We'll reset today's topic coming up next. But, yes, the comparison of a food or any sort of thing toward an athlete, the best one would win that $50 gift card. It is Kincade and Salciunas on this Thursday morning, 97.5 The Fanatic. We want to hear from you. So text us at 610-632-0975. during the commercial break. There was just an Almond Joy commercial that aired, which sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't.
That has been their jingle, by the way,
Forever.
since I was in grade school.
Yeah, like
First off, Almond Joys have commercials and a jingle and a catchphrase, and I've never heard it.
You
Hell
never
yeah,
knew.
man.
Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Sometimes you don't. I know that
Almond Joy's got
from my
nuts and
dad.
Chewy coconut. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yes.
Almond Joys got nuts.
Damn right, man.
Sometimes you feel like a nut. Sometimes you don't. Because then you can
Depends
have
what kind of mood you're
Almond Joy or Mounds.
Yeah, Mounds does not have
Mounds
the nut.
doesn't have the nut in it. and Almond Joy does. So that's the whole jingle song.
Grow up in there.
the
You're
whole
producing
song.
a morning show in Philadelphia now, all right?
Oh, wait a minute. He didn't even want to do the story about the Delco woman who pooped on someo's car.
Yeah, that was disgusting.
He goes, I don't know if that was appropriate. I'm like,
Hopefully
you
there's
are-
no nuts in her. We
I
don't
said,
need
you are like the
reproduction from that.
I said, you're like the 8-year-old among us. I said, of all people that I thought would do that story, I was waiting for that to show up in headlines.
Oh, Gunner.
You know, go back to the county of my birth.
I didn't think John Hurwitz used to say that.
Yes, I did hear it. I
right.
tried to pass that one over.
So-
no pun intended.
We then start talking about other candies because we're doing this, Tim Duncan conversation or any athlete. It doesn't have to
Right,
be Tim Duncan.
exactly.
And John goes, the Reese's Cup is the Tim Duncan of candies.
It's the most reliable.
It's the Michael Jordan of
I
candy.
said it's the Kobe. It's the Mike. Yeah,
Like, that's the best candy by far.
Because everybody's tried replicating it. There's now a million different peanut butter cups from fraudulent companies. Reese's cups are added to recipes nowadays. So,
You even say the name wrong, and you do that.
the
Reese's.
Reese's. What's Reese's?
That's how I say it. Reese's.
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 Merrill Reese's.
Yeah, get
Yes,
off my
it's like
lawn.
Merrill Reese's.
The Reese's peanut
How does
butter
it get
cup.
to be Reese's? How do you get Reese's out of
Reese's
that?
Pieces.
Yes.
How do you get that?
However you say it, it's Tim Duncan is too low for that standard.
Really?
It's Kobe. It's Michael Jordan.
It's the Kobe.
Some may
it's the
say
Michael
it's
Jordan.
Wilt.
It's Wilt.
Yeah, him and his gas station attendants.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Do we have any
that's
text? Do we have any text messages?
Oh,
coming
man,
in?
we got a lot rolling in
All
here.
right,
that's
good.
good. Here
This
we
is
go.
what I like.
Let's see. Let's start off with this one. Somebody says LeBron is the sourdough of bread, versatile and timeless.
Well, he's the sourdough. Just every time he's eliminated, he's sour. He tells you exactly why he isn't at fault and what he could. He did everything he could do.
Ben Simmons is the black licorice of jelly beans. Looks like a jelly bean. Looks like a superstar. As soon as you get a taste of him, you realize how awful he is.
That's another great answer. That is, see, this is what we need.
This is sort of what we were going for.
Ryan from New Jersey. Joel Embiid is the McDonald's ice cream. It's amazing when it's not broken.
That's a good point because you go to the
It's amazing.
yeah.
You wouldn't
Look,
say
no.
Embiid's amazing when
No,
he's
McDonald's ice cream
No,
is
it's
amazing.
good. It's tasty, but the machine's broken half the time.
Yeah, the machine being broken, I get that one. It just is that's as bad as if you're giving me grief on the Reese's cup.
Yeah,
there you go.
Reese's.
Reese's.
Oh, it's
yeah,
okay.
the Reese's peanut butter cup.
Reese's.
We got Johnny checking in. Said, I said this before. I guess he thinks about food and athlete comparisons all the time. And Jalen Hurts reminds me of a crock pot. He takes a while to get going, but when it's done, it's so good.
I like that. That is a good one. So he's the crock pot. And I'm a big crock pot guy. At
And
the
I
Salciunas
never
household.
was, and I'm warming up to the crock pot.
See, I mean, it's
I never was, and I'm enjoying stuff out of the crock pot.
And I love this one. No explanation. Ozzy from Lafayette Hill. The Sixers are a soggy burrito.
Well, wait a minute now. That isn't sort of the game, but I get it.
Oh,
Is
God.
that's interesting though. Is a lot of different.
A lot of different
ideas.
answers. Now, speaking of the Sixers, we're going to get into a little discussion in the next segment about the Sixers. And it's something we touched on yesterday, but we'll expand on a little bit more because I saw the first Where Could Giannis Go article and like the 5 trade proposals.
By the way, I got to tell you, I heard yesterday too, and when we have that discussion, Mike has gotten a little delusional as his time in Sports Talk Radio has gone on. Because I heard something delusional yesterday regarding Giannis and the Sixers.
Oh, okay.
And it came from our own Mike Missanelli.
All right.
So I'm just going to tell you. It came from Mike Missanelli.
That comes your way in about 10 minutes.
Yes.
All right, give us a text message that's not the food related to comparison to the athlete. Our main topic today, if you're just tuning in, we've been discussing how your viewership and following of sports has changed over the years between social media, the access that we get because of it, the access that we get to games that are normally out of market because your now ability to stream, whether you have the NBA League Pass or MLB League Pass, right? You can watch these games all the time. And we're not even saying, from 40 years ago. We talked about how the Sixers NBA Finals games were on tape delay. I'm just talking about in the last 10 years, how much it's changed. Gambling has been a big part of the way people watch sports. I'm sure there are more people, John, that will watch 2 random games because they have action on it when they normally wouldn't have before the FanDuels and the Parkses and the DraftKings.
When the Eagles play at 1, how many of our listeners have a 4 o'clock parlay going?
Oh, I'm sure a majority.
I would think the majority of our listeners have a 4 o'clock.
It is a lock that it's now officially over 50% of our listeners have some sort of action on a game after the Eagles.
And I always do. Whether it's just putting down $5, $10, I always have something going on. Hey, what's going on in the 4 o'clock games?
Well, we got somebody checking in with the original thing that kind of changed the way people look at football as a whole, investment in other games that aren't the Eagles. Gina in Southwest Florida says viewership changed for me when fantasy football started. I remember the Eagles scoring a go-ahead touchdown and me being upset because it wasn't Brent Selleck, and my father looked at me with disgust.
Yeah, because you wanted a specific player to score, and that's why earlier I was talking about the player props, right? Like the Sixers could win a game by 30, but if Kelly Oubre was 2 points shy of his over-under hitting, I'd be like, damn, good win, but I really needed just 2 more points out of Kelly Oubre. And that's gotten to the point where people are now nasty about it. They'll DM the player, which is just horrible. I mean, it's called gambling for a reason. But here's another one. If I'm going to a Phillies game nowadays, like if I'm going to the game, I like to put some action in it.
Oh, no. Like I told you the other night, you were going to send your wife with one.
Yeah, with the ticket.
And I said, give her a Kyle Schwarber anytime home run.
Yeah. Just so that she could have it.
Which, by the way, would have hit.
It would have hit, yeah.
But you didn't do it.
No, because I forgot I had to go.
You didn't love her enough.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Didn't love her enough.
But think about that. Like, I used to go to Philly. When I talked about the purity of sport because of Prince, the kid that was at the Phillies game on Tuesday.
That was, by the way, what a great story.
When I was 10, I didn't care about player props or anything. But nowadays, if I go to a Phillies game, I almost feel like it's a part of the experience. Right? Like, hot dogs, Cracker Jacks, anytime home run prop bet.
I got to say that when my Uncle Bernie came home from the Drexel Hill post office in Pilgrim Gardens, I had to get his parlay cards. Then my dad would get them, and I'd get them from Uncle Bernie. And if I had done my chores that week, I got a parlay card.
I love that.
In first grade.
So you've been around it forever.
In first grade.
All right, coming up next, we'll get some more of your text messages.
There.
Hell yeah, man.
There, baby.
But the Sixers discussion about how Giannis being on the table may not be true, but you have something from Mike.
Yeah, I heard something yesterday.
All right. We'll get into that coming up next. It's Kincade Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Fanatic Sports Update.
The Phils win another series. I'm Brendan Gunn, and this update is brought to you by Wendy's. With Wendy's 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles, you choose the pair you want at participating U.S. Wendy's. The Phillies won the second game in their 3-game series with the Washington Nationals last night by a score of 7-2. That win gives them back-to-back series wins. Christopher Sanchez was on the mound last night for the Phils after an early exit in his last start last Thursday with forearm tightness. Last night, though, Sanchez went 5 innings deep. He struck out 6, and he allowed 2 runs. At the plate, the Phillies went deep 3 times, including home runs from JT Realmuto, Max Kepler, and a 3-run bomb from Kyle Schwarber. The Phils will go for the sweep tonight of the Nationals. Taijuan Walker's on the mound. First pitch is at 6:45. The Eagles made offseason news yesterday when the team picked up the 5th-year option to defensive tackle Jordan Davis. Dave Zangaro from NBC Sports Philadelphia joined the best show ever yesterday and said, well, that move, it adds up.
I think it makes sense. You keep him around now through 2026, and you're still hoping that he can reach that full potential. The Eagles are still bullish on Jordan Davis.
Next on slate for the Birds and the NFL as a whole is the schedule release that is coming up on May 14th. This update was also brought to you by Mercedes-Benz. That feeling of owning your first Mercedes is hard to believe, but it's real. From the leather stitching to the iconic design, every element of a Mercedes lives up to its reputation. See for yourself at your local dealer. I'm Brendan Gunn on the home of the Truist Championship, 97.5 The Fanatic and 97.5thefanatic.com.
Bill Colarulo.
is 9:26 on Kincade Salciunas 97.5 The Fanatic. See, I love sports talk, right? Not only do I love what we get to do for a living every single day, but just the off-the-air nonsense, too.
Oh, it's nonsense when we're all together.
So we see Mike during the commercial break, and we're talking about this Giannis thing that we'll get into here momentarily. And then Bill and Mike get into an argument about Lakers Timberwolves and whether or not the Lakers or the Timberwolves rolled last night. Was last night a rolling, or was last night just a close game? And like this,
that was not a close game last night.
This little nonsense that we argue, right, over a beer or a cup of coffee or a plate of wings or just sitting there with your buddies. It's the best. Like, I would so much rather do that than talk about quite literally anything else.
Exactly, like all the stuff we had to talk about last week. Yes. This is a lot more fun.
This is much more fun.
And it's because, like we were talking about yesterday, I heard Bill and Mike, and I'm driving up to get my haircut, and Bill and Mike are talking about Giannis.
Yes. So what did I miss?
Well, they're talking about Giannis and the fact that, the end of that series, and they're discussing Giannis and how dominant he was still.
Yeah, well, yeah.
An incredible performance in that series. And they were discussing his play and everything like that. And then it was the idea of, okay, Giannis is going to get traded this offseason, it appears.
That's what it seems like.
Seems like he's going to get moved upon.
I mean, this conversation started last year.
So Mike was proposing a trade of send Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, and if the Sixers get their top 6 pick, and to Milwaukee to get Giannis. Mm-hmm. I'm like, Milwaukee'd hang up. Well, first off, they can't do it because you got to have the 2 for the 1. And then Mike just says to me back there, he goes, John, it's just conversation. Would you do the trade? I'm like, I'd do it tomorrow. Milwaukee wouldn't. Milwaukee would not do that trade.
Hold on. Why wouldn't they do the trade?
Because they'd get a better offer from someone else. That's why. There's 28 other franchises they could call.
Okay, but hold on. You get a young all-star.
Correct.
In Tyrese Maxey.
Yes.
And if
you're
getting
top 6 pick.
And if you're getting a top 6 pick.
Let's make it 4 just to have conversation.
Because once you're moving on from Giannis, you're either rebuilding or trying to retool with whatever the haul is that you get.
And they have 6 free agents. So they have to rebuild. So
I wouldn't say that that's a quick hang-up.
Okay, 4th pick. You're sending the 4th pick, Paul George, and Tyrese Maxey to get him. I'm telling you, much like when Luka got traded and everybody goes, oh, my God. People would have made a better deal. Every team could have offered a better package.
In reality, though, you'd have to contract match, right? So you'd have to take Damian Lillard and his torn Achilles back.
Or it's a combination of players like a Kyle Kuzma who's making $90 million. Like Kyle Kuzma's a big salary guy. So there are ways about it, but yes.
But somebody else would make a better deal than the Sixers would offer.
I read an article on Fox about potential trades, and none of them involve your team, your town, your Philadelphia 76ers.
Because they can't. Milwaukee's going to go, wait a minute. We have one of the prize stars of the game that's going to be available. They're not talking with the Sixers.
Well,
they're not.
This is where I get caught up, though, because I love Maxey, but am I biased, right? Can we
yes,
offer,
we're biased.
Maxey to me is better than a Bam Adebayo package.
So here's let's compare that trade offer with these 4 that
they
Fox
get. Okay, good. So we're working on the premise of the 4th pick. Sixers get the 4th pick in the lottery.
Yes.
And then they're working on Maxey
and Paul George.
So
the Miami Heat package that they have on here, Bam, as you mentioned,
so Bam.
Jamie Jaquez or whatever his name is. I hate him. Kyle Anderson and 3 first-round picks, 26, 28, 30, because you can't go back to
26, 28, and 30?
Yeah, what do they value? The picks? Are they rebuilding, or do they value the talent?
They are rebuilding because if you get rid of Giannis and they got to get rid of a big contract.
But if the Heat get Giannis, those picks aren't those picks aren't going to be top 10 picks.
No, but they are. The Milwaukee Bucks are rebuilding. They have 6. I think they have 6 free agents on the roster.
Okay. Like, is the number 4 pick this year better than 3 25 to 30 picks?
Could be.
But then they can trade those picks.
Yeah, they could.
So they can use those picks in trades.
New York Knicks.
Okay.
Karl Anthony Towns, and one first-round pick, the 2026 Wizards pick, but that's top 10 protected.
Okay.
So it depends on whether or not you love Cat or not.
Well, wait a minute. That's a comparable trade. That's a comparable
Cat
trade.
and
No,
Giannis?
and a first round pick.
Yeah, but it's top 10 protected.
Okay, so it's 11, it's 12, it's 13.
Well, that's if you get it.
If you get it.
Yeah.
That is in the mix. That's absolutely no. I'm saying comparable. I'm not talking about comparable for Giannis. I'm talking about comparable to getting fourth Maxey and Paul George. That's a comparable trade.
I think I'd rather get the Sixers package.
Okay, go on. What's the next one?
The Grizzlies. Now, this is an interesting package. John Morant, Brandon Clark, and Zach Edey. Now,
come on.
That's the best deal so
But
far.
hold on.
Okay, here we go.
Do you want to deal with John Morant?
Yes.
I would toss the grenades and do whatever for him, dude.
Because you know why? Because I'm the Milwaukee Bucks, and I'm going to lose Giannis, and I'm going to go into obscurity, or I can be relevant. And in the Eastern Conference, if I get that haul back in return, I'm going to be a 6 seed or above, guaranteed.
John Morant, before he got into all that trouble with the guns, the celebrations.
Top 12 player?
Top
hell
12
of a
player.
player.
Probably
Yeah,
the most fun player to watch.
Yeah, hell of a player. Absolutely.
You
But,
absolutely are taking that deal, and you're taking the Miami deal, too.
Pelicans.
There's another one?
Zion.
No.
I think Zion, the
I'm
team
hanging
looks
up.
at him better than they look at Maxey.
And then
Really?
DeJounte Murray or CJ McCollum. His upside you look at.
that's what
but
I mean.
His upside's also on the scale.
His upside's his waist.
It's like one of those things with a former first-round pick. Like, I can be the guy that changes this guy.
No, I'm running from that deal, and Zion
It's not that much
isn't.
good food in Wisconsin. All they have is cheese.
Yeah, but that's cheese.
lot
Think
of
of him
cheese,
with
man.
those curds, like at Yards where you get the curds.
As long as it
Curds
keeps
are
them away
delicious.
from Mariah Mills, that'll be all right. That crazy
Oh, my
lady.
God.
You guys remember Eddie Lacy and because that's Green Bay.
you're right.
The
It's a good
Chinese
point.
food. Do you remember that? Eddie Lacy had an addiction to Chinese food.
Yeah, when he blew up like a blimp.
Well, I know he blew up like a blimp, but I didn't hear the Chinese food
you
story.
didn't know that?
No,
dude, he had an eating addiction to Chinese food. He ate it like 3 times a day for a week, like every day.
Yeah,
he would eat
wonton
Chinese
soup and
food?
General Tso's every day.
But wonton soup puts weight on you.
I don't know if it was wonton. it was probably the
all
jalapeno
the sodium
chicken.
that you're.
Oh, the sodium is bad. Yeah.
Yeah, he had
That's
like
it.
he had.
Okay, I didn't know that.
It's I just pulled it up. It's a whole ESPN article. Like he
Wow.
had a legitimate addiction to eating Chinese food.
See, Ray Rhodes just got addicted to the Indian casinos up there. Like, I mean, that was different.
Hey, that's an addiction.
He had a
too.
totally different
Call
addiction.
1-800-GAMBLER.
There you go.
All right, what do we got on the text line, Gunner, on any of our topics today?
Yeah, we got a bunch of the food ones rolling in.
This 9 o'clock hour has been
man.
a fun laugh fest.
All right, let's see what we got. We got Cooper DeJean is the Rice Krispie treat. Sneaky good, can stick to everything, and it also helps that they're both exciting whites.
And by the way, you know that Ty Robinson also has a white nickname.
Oh yeah, what was
Is he the White Tornado?
Gorilla.
What is he?
I think it's the white gorilla.
The White Gorilla?
All right.
Like, so now we're just having all these nicknames now.
We got Brandon Marsh is the good and plenty. Everyone tries it, but it sucks at the end.
Look, people are finally starting to realize that I know what I'm talking about when it comes to the sport of baseball. I know he had long hair, and he barked, and he threw seeds, and Charlie Morton hung a curveball that he blasted in a playoff game after he got 2 fastballs up and in by him. And then everyone fell in love with him that moment.
By the way, too, Cooper was in the Burrow with
Reed
with
Blankenship
and everything.
and somebody else was there.
I swear to you, it must have been 20.
Yeah, where
30.
were they? Jake's
They were
or what?
Barnaby's.
Barnaby's?
There
Okay.
must have been 20 or 30 friends of mine's kids and girls who know Liv and everything. They were like, I saw Cooper DeJean. Cooper DeJean, look at the video. I'm telling you, Cooper DeJean is a rock star in this town.
Cooper DeJean is not a
He is a rock star.
All right, Eddie Lacy. He was obsessed with sesame chicken and shrimp fried rice.
Wait a minute.
He ate it all the time.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
all the time. All right, coming up next, we have our Key 3. We'll get a couple text messages in. We'll announce the winner for our final $50 Wendy's gift card And also, we got a Phillies game as they look to try to sweep the Nationals. We'll preview that next. It's Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic.
Mike Missanelli.
.40 here on Kincade and Salciunas, 97.5 The Fanatic. Get a couple more text messages in here momentarily before our key three, but the Phillies are looking to sweep the Nationals today, Johnny.
Which is what good teams do.
Yep. Taijuan Walker on the mound for the Titans, going up against that Brad Lord, who is 0-3 with a 4.67 ERA, which means he's going to go 8 shutout innings today against the Phillies.
I got to tell you, I'm shocked at the amount of the amount of bad tomato can pitching. The Nats, do they ever fix it? They have like one or two guys, but they never seem to be able to fix it. They always have these They trot out these tomato cans over and over again. But the organization, they pick at the top of the draft. They do this, and it's over and over again.
Yeah, but then you have your Steven Strasburgs, who's supposed to be a pitcher for you forever, and he can't stay healthy. You bring in Scherzer, he gets old. So look,
I got you.
They paid Patrick Corbin. Like, the Nationals did try, and look, they won a World Series, right? Like, they won a World Series when they tried. Now they're going to try to find other young guys. But you're right. I mean, they do just have some bad arms on that team. But the Phillies look to complete the sweep today. They're minus 178 on the money line. So not a gigantic favorite. I imagine the Taiwan Walker impact is why it's not in the 200s. But, I'm expecting the Phillies to complete the sweep today. I joke about the Brad Lord 8 shutout innings, but if you ever watch the Phillies, you know that that's a possibility. Yeah. But I'm expecting the Phillies to complete the sweep. And then they have a 3-game series with the Arizona Diamondbacks, who have been playing decent baseball this season. So take care of business now.
And Taiwan Walker, 22 innings pitched, has given up an earned run in 3 of them.
Yeah.
In 3 of the innings.
Yeah. One of them was the big blow-up one.
And again, I look at this as Taiwan Walker. As I choose to, when I praise a guy when he's doing well. Mm-hmm. Because we rip them and we line up to rip them when they're crappy. I would say this. It's like you're defusing a bomb. You know that at 22.2 innings, it's about to explode. You're like, but this has been so much better than you ever could have expected.
Absolutely.
To have 19 and 2/3 innings where he's scoreless. And he's done well. You're just hoping you could get 4 scoreless out of him today. You're hoping you can get another 4 scoreless and just like defuse the bomb and then run. And say, wow, we survived another one. Because you don't have to survive another one because it's done. After today, Ranger Suarez is pitching Sunday.
Yeah, unless you go with the 6-man rotation.
They're not going to do. They're not doing that in May though.
Right.
That was from the discussions. Rob Thompson's clearly not doing that. So Rangers pitching Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no. This is it.
Lazard tomorrow, Nola Saturday.
It's the last one you got to get. It's the last one you got to get through with Taiwan Walker, and then Taiwan Walker becomes like a. I wonder, mop up. Like, does he become the?
I mean, he's not. I'm not going high leverage. So yeah.
Well, wait a minute. Well, there's guys that. I mean, I'm not putting him in a high leverage either, but I would be fine if you have to go to the bullpen in the 6th. Yeah, letting him pitch a 6th.
I need my bullpen arms throwing gas. He doesn't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I know that.
I don't think anyone's fearing the low 90s fastball coming out of the pen. You can't have the intro music.
Yes. What would be the intro?
It's a small world. All right, what do we got on the text line before we get to our key 3?
Yeah, we got Mike and KOP checking in saying Taiwan Walker's the dum-dum lollipop. He sucks.
Oh, my God.
That's terrible.
I didn't think dum-dums were that bad.
By the way, if you buy the dum-dum lollipops for Halloween, you're a bad homeowner. You're a bad homeowner.
You know who buys them? The lady in St. Louis.
Yeah,
the big bag of dum-dums that you get at like the Costco.
I do like the blue flavored dum-dum.
Root beer and blue are two good ones.
Look at the
blue.
Look at the dum-dums.
Yeah, everybody knows it's the blue one.
You ever see Dumb and Dumber?
Yeah.
The 2 Frosties. He goes, look, they got my 2 favorite flavors, cherry and green. Like, what?
Listen, nobody knows what the blue
root beer and blue.
Well, nobody knows what the blue one is.
Well, wait a minute. Is it? What is it? Well, it's got to be blueberry, right?
I think it's blue raspberry.
Yeah, blue.
There you go. Go on.
All right, what else we got?
We got somebody checking in.
It's been a lively text board today.
We got somebody checking in saying Paul George is when your mom says we have McDonald's at home and James Harden is the real McDonald's.
Yeah, well.
Wait a minute. Did mom say that? We have McDonald's at home. I don't get it.
You've never heard that? It's like a meme.
Yeah,
first
you've never
off.
heard that?
No, I don't. I don't know.
But
it's like
it's going over my head.
I mean, so I remember
you
all
mean
the time.
Your mom's saying we have food at home?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It was going over my head. I'm going, what do you mean you have McDonald's at home? Like Connor, you left it out from the night before? Yeah. Connor's been known to do that.
Hey, you drive by McDonald's as a little tyke, and then your mom says, we got McDonald's at home.
By the way, it is blue raspberry.
So it is.
But the reason why you can't say blue is because there's a blue cotton candy flavor as well. So
and there's a blueberry.
Nah, blue raspberry is like the
There's the
OG.
good. Yeah, that's the good one. That's the blue.
No, there's no blueberry. I'm on their official Dum Dums website.
I will
Dum
bring you.
You know
in.
what?
Don't call me Taiwan Walker. It's the meanest thing anyone's ever said to me.
The two of you should have your pictures on the Dum Dums website.
Hell yeah, man.
Unbelievable.
All right, give us one more text.
I see an endorsement in both of your futures.
And then Gunnar, it's up to you to pick the winner of the $50 Wendy's gift card. You can announce that after the key 3. So give us one more text, man.
All right, well, somebody just like James Harden, somebody does not. James Harden is candy corn. Great when you have a couple pieces a couple of times a year, but after that you realize it's trash.
Yeah, but
guess what? It's terrible by May.
Well, here's the thing. I've never liked candy corn.
It's stale and terrible by May. I know that.
Listen, man.
And guess what, James?
Best point guard Joel Embiid's ever played.
I'll tell you, that first rounds, man, he's had some real good first
Best point guard Joel Embiid's ever played.
Yeah,
with.
it's good. Hang a banner for it.
Real quick, the Phillies making moves.
What?
Nothing big. They traded for Daniel Robert, a right-handed pitcher from the Texas Rangers.
Daniel Robert, wait a
in
minute.
exchange for Enrique Segura, not Gene Segura, and Robert went to AAA.
Robert had a moment, didn't he?
He
Sure, he had a
was
couple.
with the Rangers last season for 4 whole games.
So it's not who I'm thinking of then.
I don't think so.
No, it's not who I'm
No,
thinking.
because he's a minor league guy.
No, he's a minor league. He has bounced around.
He's 30 years old in the minors.
Oh, man, yes.
Listen, did you not learn anything from Tanner Banks' little segment they had last night on the game? You keep going until you're 30. You can turn it on at any time.
That's right. By the
You know
way,
what's
good
funny
outing
is-
for Tanner Banks yesterday.
I hear those stories and they go, I'm terrible with this. Because I hear those stories and they go, isn't that just a heartwarming story? Like, he had a wife and kid and he had 3 roommates.
And he says, I'm not quitting
I know,
anything.
and I heard that story, and Taryn and them were talking about it, and I'm hearing that story, and I turn to my wife and I go, I hear that story, and I say, grow the frick up.
That's what I said, John.
You're a father.
They did a whole little segment on it. I don't know if you saw it with basketball.
You've got a wife. You've got a wife. You've got a kid.
He had
and
a kid on the way. He's
and you have
living
to
with
live-
4
and you have
guys
to
and his
live
wife
with,
and
you're
kid.
living with 3 roommates because you're trying to chase, and you're like,
dream at
somebody
30?
Stop it. Stop it.
well,
Like at that point, I hear that same story and go, ridiculous.
You made it.
Grow up, dude. Come on.
hold on.
I know it's saying that you didn't hear the story last night in the broadcast.
no, I'm just trying to see how much money he's making. $785 this year. All right.
No, that's great. It
takes care of the family.
It does work out, but for every one of those stories,
I know there's a lot.
there
He
are
was living
100 of them. It's
in
terrible.
a 3-bedroom
Well,
house
first
with
off,
5 roommates in Altoona,
You're
Pennsylvania.
and you're raising a wife, and you've got
Sounds like fun.
and you've got a wife and kid. You're playing grown-up life.
That means you
and
got
you have 3 roommates.
That means you got 3 babysitters. Time now for the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show.
Now, the Kincade and Salciunas Key 3. Today's best.
Today we're going to have sort of a different type of conversation with you all. Obviously me, John, and Brendan, but all of you, it's 610-632-0975 on social media, our YouTube feed, because we're at the point today, until the next big news drops, where we get to sort of expand our conversations, John, into other parts of the world of sports.
Expand them.
So, yeah, instead of just, how'd you feel about this move? How'd you feel about this play?
We're not going to do the box score.
No.
We're not breaking down box scores on this show.
No. Today, we're going to have a conversation about how we follow sports, how we watch sports. For the first time in 2025, we get to go through the Vegas win totals for the Philadelphia Eagles, other teams in the NFC East, the
Love
NFC, the NFL. We'll start with the Eagles, obviously.
What would you guess, Gunner? Over, under set for the Eagles at how many wins?
I'm teetering between 10.5 and 11.5. I'm going
Okay,
to
you
go.
have to go and answer.
I'm going to go 10.5.
That's what I had said the number would be when it came out. Did you? You look.
I've seen it, yeah.
11.5.
Now, we have said on
I
this
thought
show.
10.5 was the number.
Well, because 12 wins.
12 wins is wild for this schedule.
Staying healthy again.
And with the opponents that they have,
Oh my
you're right,
gosh.
they're staying healthy because they played the furthest amount of games possible, winning the Super Bowl.
I think 12-5, you will be the NFC champions.
And that's one of the things that have changed in terms of our following and viewership. The fact that over-unders come out at the end of April, and we're talking about it. It's incredible how much our viewership and following of sports has changed, either for the better, for the worse, more interest, lack of interest. A lot of things have changed. There's a lot more at your disposal nowadays other than sports. I get it. But I also think sports have increased, especially football. Duh. but you see baseball numbers going up here, at least locally, because the Phillies are worthy of your time when they weren't for about 10 years. And once the Flyers are back to legitimate relevancy, it's going to boom here again. Now, especially after 10 years of a playoff drought where people just stopped watching the Phillies. I know it's been a couple years now since they've been back. People do handle it like football season. Like, that's changed.
They do.
The everyday dying on a pitch.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't know when that started, and I don't know if it happens in other cities. It may. I'm not entirely sure.
It happens.
I do wonder if the gambling aspect is a big part of that.
It has always happened in Atlanta.
Okay.
I can tell you.
The living and dying on every pitch.
But I think it's because, too, for them, the Braves have always been the Eagles to us.
Okay, fair.
The Braves are the Eagles to them. So it has always meant. Whereas the Falcons have been like a constant frustration.
Right.
And a constant anger.
Well, they take a backseat to the college football.
Well, yeah, Georgia football's always the king.
How much has your viewership in terms of sports changed and your following of sports? All right, that's the Kincade Salciunas Key 3 best minutes from today's show. And now time for our fourth and final winner of the $50 gift card to Wendy's. Wendy's Breakfast 2 for $3 Biggie Bundles lets you choose your perfect duo from your fave 4, including a sausage or egg and cheese biscuit, small seasoned potatoes, or medium hot coffee at participating U.S. Wendy's. I loved my bacon, egg, and cheese breakfast burrito this morning. It was tremendous. Gunnar, who's our fourth winner of this week's $50 gift card? This continues next week, every Thursday moving forward.
Yeah, it just so happened to be the first one I read, and it was the best one, in my opinion, all day. It was Bill K. in Allentown, Paul George's Gas Station Sushi.
So, Bill, you will get a phone call from somebody, and that way we can get your information on how to win the $50 gift card.
That is absolutely awesome. I love it when conversations sort of go
By the way,
off the rails.
Rice Krispie treat one, I had a Rice Krispie treat last week for the first time, and I can't tell you how long.
I hate them.
So
Dude,
good.
Oh, so good.
I hate them.
I forgot how good
You're a
they
sicko.
were.
No, I hate them.
So Cooper,
I'm not a big fan of the marshmallow.
Cooper got him in the Easter Bunny at daycare, drops him off, but he can't eat them yet. The Rice Krispie treat,
Why can't he eat them?
unless we break them up, just because they're hard to eat.
Okay.
For a little kid. So instead of breaking it up, I just ate it.
Wait a minute. Now, my wife would make Fruity Pebble and Cocoa Pebble.
Oh, yeah, my mom used to do stuff like that. Yeah.
Crispy treats.
Yeah.
Back for that.
For life.
You like those. Hey, FT Young Heating and Air Conditioning, they made a donation to the American Association for Cancer Research, and you can too. Go to 975thefanatic.com/AACR because cancer research saved my life 3 times over, and they can save yours too.
Mike Missanelli show comes your way next.
And Jason Mertitas doing really well 1 week out of his final treatment. Talked to Mert yesterday. He's doing well.
Love that.
That's
man.
awesome.
After the show, we go do our post-show headlines. So make sure you check that out later today because apparently
Listener questions.
There are listener questions about like spouses, and I'm terrified.
And romance and all that kind of stuff. It's very interesting questions today.
I'm terrified.
It will be.
That's great.
Including,
I don't want to know what you guys do with your
it's
almond
going to be
joys.
interesting.